games, they've gone, Forest, from talking about winning silverware to basically trying to stay in the Premier League, and it's now become a bit of a relegation dogfight.
Dyche's Forest contract runs till 2027. Nuno Espirito Santo admits he doesn't have much time to sort things out at West Ham and says the club has a problem getting the fans back on side. Here's what the Hammers are telling talkSPORT after the 2-0 loss at home to Brentford amid protests over the ownership.
We have got two clowns in charge, and it's not a circus anymore. I won't go to the ground.
Too many people not playing for the badge, not proud to play for the club.
They've got some good youngsters, Pearson Fionn in the youth. They've got Mohamedou Kante. Give them a break. Give them a chance.
West Ham's trip to Leeds is live on talkSPORT this Friday night. Arsenal have said sorry to Atletico Madrid for the cold showers at the Emirates after training in heavy rain last night. Atleti's players and staff had to head back to their hotel for hot water. UK government says it's deeply saddened Maccabi Tel Aviv's declining tickets to the Villa game next month. The Israeli club cites safety concerns for their fans. West Midlands police say last week's decision to ban Maccabi supporters from Villa Park was based on current intelligence and past events. And Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. has been called up to Portugal's under-16 squad for the first time. The 15-year-old plays at Al Nassr, the same Saudi club as his dad.
talkSPORT News.
Pressure mounts on the government to officially strip Prince Andrew of his titles, and government borrowings hit its highest point in 5 years. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Another mixed day, sunny spells and blustery showers for most. Those showers most frequent in the north and west, where it's also breezy, warmer in the southeast.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So West Ham are swept aside by Brentford in Nuno's first home game in charge. New manager, but similar problems reside. Are West Ham in a state of paralysis? Meantime, what is the Sean Dyche remit? Also today, has a football match been weaponised by all sides to sow division? Are symbolic protests powerful? Do your achievements go more under the radar at a club like Fulham? What does 2 more years of Alexander Usyk actually look like? And ahead of a bumper night of European action, is that famous Geordie roar a thing after all? This is Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I must admit, I do enjoy this sidling in when you suddenly just appear through that door.
Sidling?
Sidling in. There he is. He's made it again. We have another show. It's another day. And you're quite unruffled. You just take your seat and just get on with it.
Is there a debate whether I'm going to make it then?
No. Never.
So why was there? Oh, there he is. He's made it again.
I have to say,
you are a disappointment.
You are Mr. Reliable.
Thank you very much.
You are Mr. Reliable.
You were swanning around in the summer. Where was I?
Oh, that's right. You were here.
I was here, last man standing.
You were here. Yes, indeed. Digging at the coal face of truth.
Yes.
Throughout the entire summer.
Even that referee Joe was off.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's never been forgiven for that. Although you are leaving us next week, aren't you?
Indeed, I am.
You're back over in Spain for a few days.
I am, yes.
Okay. Is that still home, as you call it?
Yes, it actually is. Indeed it is.
A lot to go through. One chat that we have done this morning before we came on air that will interest your good self. Spoke to Mr. Igis Klimas.
Oh, did you?
The manager, of
Usyk,
course, of
yeah.
Alexander Usyk.
Yes.
Who shed some light on Usyk's decision to fight on for another 2 years. Mm-hmm. And will his next fight be Tyson Fury? Very interesting answer on that. So he's got a good team around him still, even though Krasiuk is no longer with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason why Krasiuk was moved out because I think they want to retain some more money in the camp. But the fact is that fighting Tyson Fury, I think it's about really Alexander Usyk getting paid the kind of money that Alexander Usyk's status should be able to dictate.
Yeah.
And there's only so many fights that are going to give him that opportunity. And maybe Fury 3, albeit Fury 1 and 2, as much as Tyson would have you believe that he won one of those fights, he didn't. He lost both.
Yes.
By some
indeed.
distance.
So will there be a third? You need to hang on for the answer to that. Very interesting chat with Igis Klimas, who was over in Lithuania, heading out to LA later today. So it's done, Simon. We'll get, I don't mean Danny Rohl at Rangers. Well, I do. We'll get to that shortly. But nearer here, Sean Dyche is appointed new Nottingham Forest manager on a 2-year deal. Quite interesting. I wonder where Marinakis' mind has gone from appointing Ange Postecoglou 1 minute and Sean Dyche the next. Because when you look at it, in comes Sean Dyche. It's a contract to run until summer of 2027, and he becomes Forest's third boss this season. And Forest say, having managed more than 330 Premier League matches in his career to date, Dyche has built teams defined by defensive organisation, resilience and strength from set pieces. Qualities that align closely with the current squad's attributes and the club's footballing identity. Yeah. And then you think what Marinakis said when Ange Postecoglou was appointed. We're bringing in a coach to the club who has a proven and consistent record of winning trophies. Something special here with Forest. We now must take the right step to compete with the very best and challenge for trophies. So that's been parked up. And now it's about defensive organisation and resilience. You wonder what the remit for Sean Dyche is?
Well, I suppose the person that penned those various press releases is not ambidextrous, because one hand is writing with one set of sentiments and the other is writing with another. Because clearly the ambition for Nottingham Forest, and there's always been an ambition, a stated ambition for Marinakis, is to win things, is to be back at the top of the tree where Nottingham Forest once were under that unique phenomenon called Brian Clough. Post that era, they've had difficult times for the best part of a quarter of a century. So you look at it now and say, Sean Dyche's modus operandi, as much as Sean might want to protest it, and does protest it quite vehemently, is that he manages on a needs-must basis. Right? He managed Everton on a needs-must. They had no money. They were in special measures. Their club was being policed by the Premier League in terms of what they could and couldn't buy. So they were maintaining the status quo of staying in the division. His de facto position, with the exception of one outstanding season of getting Burnley into Europe, was keeping Burnley in the division.
Yeah.
So if we've morphed now into a situation where Nottingham Forest's stated ambition, primarily from the default position, is to stay in the division, which, to be quite frank, most clubs, even if Paul Barber believes something different now, he'll say publicly that Brighton's position is to make sure they're in the division from the get-go. Parish will probably say the same at Palace. And people will criticise that as a lack of ambition. It's a statement of fact. No one's got a God-given right to be in the Premier League. But Marinakis has made such a song and dance and dog and pony show about winning things that as much as I like Sean, as much as I rate him as a manager, this is not a progressive appointment. This is an appointment to hold order, to keep the club probably in the Premier League and to give its best opportunity, maybe somehow to find its way through the Europa League.
So what is it? 8 games in, is Marinakis firefighting?
Well, it would appear so. It would appear that for whatever reason, there's chaos in them, or there's often gold in them hills. There's chaos in their ones, where Nuno Espirito Santo has been hounded out of the door because for some reason he and Marinakis stopped seeing eye to eye, and it led to a situation where the manager pretty much calls out the owner on television and everyone knows what's happening after that. He brings in Postecoglou. Postecoglou spends his entire time fighting with the media, defending himself against A, they didn't want him there, B, his record, and then just C, trying to hold some order while his team repeatedly let him down on the field. And now 8 games into a season, 2 games into a European campaign, you bring in someone that will, if he was sat in front of me, Sean would say, I don't play this way, I don't play that way, I play with the resource that I've got. A good ball, the best ball is a good ball, or the good ball is the right ball, and all that sort of stuff. But we will see Forest be less progressive in my thinking, unless Sean will go into, this is my first opportunity. I've got an owner that spends money like his pants are on fire and buys players left, right and centre. So what I'm going to do is when I had at Burnley, I was told to manage with what I've got. When I was at Everton, I had no bloody choice. Right? Yeah. Now I've got an owner that's going to spend money. So now you're going to see the real Sean Dyche. Yeah. You're going to see my progressive, ambitious, forward-thinking, expansive football. cobblers. You're going to see the same.
I've got to say, if the Marinakis pants are on fire, we're all in trouble.
Yeah, mate. That'd be some fire, wouldn't it?
But you know, it's a difficult one to put out.
Towering inferno.
I tell you what, though, Simon. Forrest are saying Dyche has built teams defined by defensive organisation, resilience, and strength from set pieces. But that could have been what they said when Nuno was brought in.
Yes, but we know that Nuno wasn't really taken out for a footballing achievement circumstance. So, come on, you can't make that argument. Even the most obtuse person, the most opaque individual, can't make the argument that Nuno Espirito Santo somehow, besides his outburst, which was obviously on the back of what was going on behind the scenes, and more so because he knew what was coming potentially, so he dared the owner to make a decision rather than walking himself and not getting paid or getting some degree of severance.
Yeah.
You can't make the argument that Nuno Espirito. He produced a team that, whilst it was counter-attacking, I liked watching Forest. I'm pretty sure the Forest fans liked watching them themselves last season.
True.
And, the owner fought, and literally probably made damn clear that everyone in the Morgan Gibbs White family knew that there was real reasons to stay at Nottingham Forest, and fought every situation to keep the best players there because Alango had gone to Newcastle. So all of that makes no sense with Nuno Espirito Santo leaving. So the argument that you're saying, which is, well, you've taken X and you've substituted it with Y, and they meet in the middle with the same outlooks.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think Nuno has had opportunities to manage. He's obviously considered a different way because the Tottenham Hotspur opportunity would never have been given to Sean Dyche. Now, Nuno managed Wolves, and when Wolves came out of the Championship, they were quite an ambitious side. They had the kid up front, Traore, that was like a flying machine. That's now at Fulham, isn't he?
Right.
And they had Ruben Neves, and they played expansive football.
Right.
What he did was he adjusted to the Premier League to stay in the Premier League. So, but the fact that he got the Tottenham Hotspur job tells you that Nuno probably has a little bit more in his locker than just being a defensive coach. Sean's never been given that opportunity. Sean got Burnley, and he got Everton.
Right.
Firefights.
Right.
So he's now at Forest. So we will see if there's any ambition in the way that Forest play. But I always think that winning football is the best kind of football.
Exactly.
And Nuno Espirito Santos produced winning football with a group of players that he properly polished. Because Chris Wood is never, ever going to score that many goals again in the season.
Right. So a 2-year deal for Dyche. Is this an appointment for the long term or one for the moment? For the moment, the here and now.
2 years. Well, it's not even that, is it? I mean, it'll go to June 27, won't it? Right?
Yeah.
So it's effectively about 18 months, really. 19, 20 months.
Here's one for you. Andy wants to know, Jim asked Simon, I'm a big Forest fan, will Dyche be Forest manager next season? Does he envisage that Dyche will hold on until next season?
Well, you can't answer that because Marinakis is unpredictable. The one thing that you can predict is his unpredictability. He will do what he sees fit. Martin made a point yesterday about him going on the field and how that would have been seen by the manager and what he was really going on about.
Yeah.
And Martin's probably right, Martin O'Neill. But that it's baked into your thinking. You go work for Marinakis.
Yeah.
Don't expect a placid, easy owner that sits there not letting you know what he thinks. You won't have to worry about what he thinks. He'll tell you.
Here's the thing, Simon. Sean Dyche's first game is against Porto in the Europa League.
Great game to start with.
It's live on talkSPORT on Thursday. Say they go on and win the Europa League. Are we talking Sean Dyche, the Nottingham Forest Champions League manager?
Fantastic. I hope so. English manager, managing in the Premier League, person I like and rate very much, and I think sometimes he does get the thin end of the wedge as far as opportunities are concerned. I would love it for him. I dislike this idea that just because you played for a club once, that automatically it's a shoo-in that you're going to be successful. I did it. I fell into that trap. I brought Peter Taylor back, and my feet fell asleep within 15 minutes of being in his company. It was a huge mistake, and ultimately he wasn't good enough for the job. And just because he was a legend at Crystal Palace didn't mean the fans were going to tolerate the crap that he served up. And if Sean does the same, he'll soon not be a Forest legend anymore.
Was that Peter Taylor who did a good Norman Wisdom impersonation?
Yeah, unfortunately in my dugout more often than not. Yeah.
So, Forest fans, you're already getting in touch because you're listening to every word that the man to my left is saying. But what do you honestly think? What will be the remit for your new man in charge, Sean Dyche? And for Forest, has it really gone from trophies, as Marinakis said to me at Wembley that famous day when you went to the Premier League, to firefighting in the space of 6 weeks? Give us a call, 03717 223344. Next up, West Ham in paralysis. Sean Dyche in at Nottingham Forest. A bit of a tough old message from Niall, who's listening this morning. He says, I don't know how he gets his job, Sean Dyche. He's never done anything of any serious note, says Niall.
He stuck Burnley into the Europa League.
Yeah.
I mean, Burnley, with respect to Burnley, he put Burnley in the Europa League, so they should pack that in.
Was that lost on you, Niall? Chris is a Forest fan who wants to join us very briefly. Chris, good morning. You've got Sean Dyche. You had Ange Postecoglou. You've got Sean Dyche. What are you thinking?
Morning, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Good, thank you, mate.
First, before I say anything, I'd just like to send out my condolences to our former captain, Stuart Pearce, on his tragic loss.
Absolutely.
Yes.
As a fellow parent, it's the worst thing that could happen. So, we'll put everything into perspective. Deepest sympathies to him.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that.
On the management side, I think it's a decent appointment because the question is, who else is out there that's available?
Yeah.
Areola is never going to leave Bournemouth. The Palace manager is never going to leave Palace. I don't think Marco Silva is going to leave Fulham. So, who else is out there to replace Postecoglou?
So what do you think is Dyche's remit? And do you feel, Chris, there's still a whole bunch of things to play for this season?
I do. I think the first thing he's got to do is get the fans back on side. That's important. Forget fancy football. What we need is win football, clean sheets, get us back up the table.
Yeah.
Maybe a decent couple of cup runs. Forget last season, what happened. We've got to forget all that now. We've got to look forward, avoid relegation, because I think we're better than that. I think we've got the players to avoid relegation. But the management and the players have got to show it.
Yes, good call, Chris. Thank you for that. I mean, I get exactly what you're saying. Mind you, was that not what they thought they had? No. I say it again. It's hard not to go back to that.
But again, we have to accept in this conversation, for reasons unbeknownst to anybody besides the manager and the chairman, there was a departure.
Yeah.
From what was an unprecedented successful season. I mean, unprecedented in the last quarter of a century. Nottingham Forest were a brilliant side that perhaps had a chance to get in the Champions League, got caught short at the end of the season and got into the Europa League off the back of Palace's failings. And so really and truly, in terms of the administrative side of the football club, there should be a great degree of regard for the manager. So despite the fact I know that he's a complicated character, Nuno Espirito Santo, he is not straightforward. He's a difficult person to deal with. I think they found him difficult to deal with at Wolves, and their patience ran out with him a little bit there. But beyond all of that, football managers are difficult. You see Martin O'Neill, he's prickly, he's sparky. They're difficult animals to deal with. Yeah. You know that when you employ them.
You on yesterday,
but that's fine, because ultimately there's nothing wrong with taking people on. Just be right when you do it. And if you take on your boss, which I'm not in this instance, but if you take on your boss when you're working for them, be right or expect trouble.
Sure.
So the challenge is that we keep on saying they had it. Well, they decided that they didn't want it.
Well, talking of Nuno Espirito Santo, it was his first home game in charge last night of West Ham United, and West Ham were swept aside by Brentford. Comfortably beaten by the Bees, who were busy throughout. A game that was played out in front of a whole host of empty seats. Nuno says, we've got to fix this.
Not good enough, poor. I think we are all concerned. You can feel it from our own fans. You can see that they are concerned, and then this concern becomes in silence becomes in anxiety, and we have a problem. It's understandable. Look, since I arrived, clear awareness, if you want, that it's up to us to change. It's up to us to change this. I think our fans must see something that they like, something that pleases them, so they can support us and give us energy like we feel it in the beginning of the game. We try to ignore it. We try to make them feel that they have to be comfortable so they can express themselves well, but we cannot hide ourselves that it's there to see. Passes not clicking has to do with many aspects, and mentally is one of the aspects that we have to solve.
So what did we witness at the London Stadium last night? A dead atmosphere. Many of those who attended began streaming out from the 80th minute onwards. Simon, new manager, but same old problems on the pitch, alongside a fan base willing to stay away to see an ownership gone. Are West Ham in a state of paralysis?
Well, I don't think in a state of paralysis. I mean, Nuno Espirito Santo has got to give these fans, whoever there is in the stadium, something to cheer about. He talks about ignoring the background noise. What you ignored, or your team ignored, was the opportunity to be competitive in the game. That's what you managed to ignore. So you've got to get your team right. The background noise you can do nothing about. You can't do anything about the idea. You took the job knowing that the fans don't like the owner. So just manage the team, Nuno, and get on with making sure that they're more competitive than what you served up last night. The fans have their view. How they believe it's going to be constructive. We heard them come on. You know, they make a big song and dance and dog a pony show about the fact I said, pack it in, you're not going to get a new stadium, because I listened to them all piling in to the fact that I said they weren't going to get a new stadium, because it's a ridiculous situation. You want the owners out, get the owners out. Don't then start telling the next sort of owners they've got to build you a £2 billion stadium, because this is silly. It's not grown-up conversation, and no adult is going to entertain it. Besides the ramblings of the West Ham fans that think they're entitled to say whatever they want.
See, they don't like that when you belittle them like that.
Well, they deserve to be belittled, because they have every right to have a better ownership if they think they're entitled to a better ownership. They have every right to wish that upon their football club. What they don't have a right to do, in my view, is to turn a conversation into a silly conversation, which is, and the next thing we want is a brand new stadium. I mean, no one's going to buy a football club and with a default setting in London just suddenly say, right, whatever you think about it, I'm going to go and build you a £2 million purpose-built stadium, because that's what it's going to cost, between 2 and 3 billion quid. And if you think it's not, then go find out and tell me why I'm wrong. The fact of the matter is that Sullivan is in this football club. They don't like him. They didn't like David Gold. Back in the day, they physically intimidated David Gold at a time. West Ham fans, we seem to see whoever they've got in there they're not happy with. I remember they weren't happy with Terry Brown. I remember they weren't happy with the Icelandic guy. So the heart for this time gone past, which I don't know what that time was, but we all have to listen to the West Ham Academy and how they won the World Cup.
The bowling ground, the chicken run, that's where they harp back to.
I know, but everything has to change. And my situation is that perhaps in their shoes, if they were sold a pup and they were told something and it's not manifested itself, then they have every right to be disappointed and aggrieved. The other side of the argument is that I do believe that 95, maybe 99% of football club owners would have moved that club into those stands. And I do accept the argument that I tried to make the other day is probably flawed, that the stadium that was built in Manchester had a different dynamic to the one that was built in London, i.e. it was never really going to be ever a football stadium, whereas the Commonwealth Games Stadium in Manchester had that leaning towards it anyway. So I accept that argument. But the idea that most football, they'll say, well, that's the problem with most football club chairman. All right, then you club together and you go buy a football club. You club together and you go run a football club, and you get together and run the tens of millions.
What you're telling those fans who boycotted the game last night?
I'm saying that...
Get together yourselves and buy the thing.
But my argument is that I say this is the kind of reality of what football's become. These are the owners that you get. Right, well, this is what happens with you owners. Okay, then you become the owners then. And then you put together the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds that football clubs cost to run, and you see how long you last doing it.
So you think that they're acting like entitled, spoilt brats?
No, I think they've got what they believe to be a legitimate grievance against. I mean, I find myself in the unenviable position of appearing to defend David Sullivan, and I don't want to. I want to be at the front of the queue pitching tomatoes at him as regularly as I possibly could. But in this instance, I'm sitting there going, right, okay, you want the owner out, and you dislike him because he didn't quite tell you what you wanted to hear about the stadium, and he's produced a stadium that you don't quite like. Okay, you don't like the stadium. It's not. You're not happy with it. Is that it? You don't like the stadium. That's it, is it?
That appears to be it. Do you think Nuno can fix this? Can he play
he's good enough.
home matches in a stadium?
No, he's got to give the fans something to cheer about.
In which the hardcore don't want to visit.
Well, there's also lots of fans, besides the activist ones, that were also saying that they don't like Sullivan and they didn't like Gold, but they don't agree with the militant style of things, and they want to see their football club successful. Yeah. So you play for those guys at this moment in time, and you put a performance out that makes them proud. They pay their money. They're entitled to be in a football stadium. And so, by the way, don't mistake me. So, by the way, the other people that would pay their season tickets that want to not go to the stadium and feel unhappy about it. I understand, having owned a football club, that certain sections of fans live their lives vicariously through their football club. They eat, sleep, whatever else, their football club. And so I get the dynamics of it, but there's a way to do things and there's a way not to do things. And you are not going to... I'm not because I'm being clever. You are not going to get West Ham moving from that stadium. They've got
the park here.
They've got a 99-year lease there, haven't they, or whatever it is, 125-year lease.
Yeah.
They ain't moving, And by the way, where are they moving to? Because if it wasn't inside the borough, that would be the next outrage. And where is the money coming from? Why do you think that anybody is going to spend £2 billion on building a stadium alongside the £1 billion it's probably going to cost to buy the football? This is West Ham. This is not Tottenham. This is not Arsenal.
So you're saying,
this
Simon,
is not
even in one sense, if they get what they want and Sullivan and Brady were to go, goodbye, they've gone. The new owners come in, they'd still be in that London stadium.
Well, I can't see, unless someone can explain to me, why they think that anybody is going to rock in, what they think someone's going to do. Why would you spend... There's a ceiling to West Ham. I'm sorry, there is. They're a great football club. I admire them. I grew up watching all the Trevor Brookings of the world and loved Alan Devonshire and all that sort of crowd. Got it, right?
Yeah.
And of course, go back to the World Cup. Yes, we know all that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is who's going to come in? You've got a Czech billionaire that can't even deliver the Royal Mail. So who's going to come in and start building West Ham up to the idea of what the West Ham fans supposedly think they're entitled to?
I'm going to put it out there this morning, and bear in mind, any West Ham fans who took part in the boycott last night, if you come to air this morning, stay calm. Mr. Jordan's in the mood. But I'm going to put it to you straight. Is your club, West Ham United, in a state of paralysis as it stands right now? Was the boycott impactful last night for the right reasons, or was it counterintuitive? Give us a call. 03717 223344. We want to hear from you, especially the ones who stayed away.
Sean Dyche has been confirmed as the new head coach at Nottingham Forest. It's a 2-year contract, but our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says the club statement makes it very clear the side's priorities have changed as a result of their season so far.
They talk about his teams being defined by defensive organisation, resilience, strength from set pieces mentioned in this statement. So in the space of 8 games, they've gone Forest from talking about winning silverware to basically trying to stay in the Premier League, and it's now become a bit of a relegation dogfight.
Dyche's first game in charge will be at home to Porto in the Europa League, live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Now, Nuno Espirito Santo admits he's got a serious problem getting West Ham fans back on side. Here's what they're telling talkSPORT this morning after last night's protests.
We have got two clowns in charge, and it's not a circus anymore. I won't go to the ground.
Too many people not playing for the badge, not proud to play for the club.
They've got some good youngsters, Pearson Fionn in the youth. They've got Mohamedou Kante. Give them a break. Give them a chance.
Meanwhile, talkSPORt's Stanley Murphy thinks this could be as bad as West Ham gets under Nuno after that painful 2-0 defeat to Brentford last night.
He's got to find a team quickly that he can settle on and trust in and get at least to a place where they're harder to play against and harder to beat. He's got a big job on his hands.
There's more on that at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. Tuesday, October the 21st. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. A lot to get through this morning. Danny Rohl, the German, got the job at Rangers in Scotland. Later on this morning, we're going to hear from a player who played under Danny Rohl at Sheffield Wednesday, former Rangers player himself, Josh Windass. You'll be hearing from Josh, these days a Wrexham player. Josh is going to be joining us later on this morning. In the meantime, we've parked the bus at West Ham United. Many fans stayed away last night. They didn't go, not happy with the ownership. They want the ownership out. They want the stadium sold. They want a new stadium. They want this, that, and the next. And many of them decided, not going to show up last night. So they didn't watch their own side under Nuno Espirito Santo, playing under Nuno for the first time at home, lose 2-0 to Brentford. So West Ham United, is this club in a state of paralysis? It's as simple as that. Tony is a big West Ham fan. Tony, good morning. You're first up. Brave man. Did you stay away last night, Tony?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Basically, I've been a season ticket holder for most of my life at Upton Park and also the London Stadium. And myself and my son, we didn't go last night. We boycotted. But it seemed that we couldn't even really manage to do a proper boycott because basically, as soon as the board got wind of people not going, they basically, I think a lot of those people unfortunately put them on for resale and then they sold them really cheap for like 15 quid for adults and kids for £1. So that's why it didn't really sort of come to any great boycott, really.
I see. Your football club, is it in a state of paralysis?
Well, look, Jim and Simon, look, I love your show. I listen pretty much every day. Okay, it's really good, but I'm really, honestly, my blood boils sometimes listening to West Ham fans ring in, and a lot of people, the fans, and also some people in the media, they're missing the point here. Right now, I want to just address a couple of things really quickly, if I can, if you let me.
Yeah.
But basically, the stadium, right? As Simon correctly said, and you had a conversation with a guy from West Ham fans the other week, we're definitely not moving. We can't move. We've got to get over that,
right?
Upton Park was a fantastic, wonderful stadium with a fantastic atmosphere, but it was 35,000 capacity and we outgrew it. So we had to move. Now, we weren't the only ones that wanted the London Stadium. Daniel Levy wanted it, right? But he couldn't get it. So we ended up with it. But the big problem we've got with the stadium is basically the outside of it, the infrastructure. I haven't got a problem with that. Getting in and out to Stratford is actually a lot easier than Upton Park, right? But the big problem is the board, and Karen Brady was on video and she said, we're going to give you a world-class team. regular European football in a world-class stadium. She went on record saying we're going to give you retractable seating to get over the running track. Now, they sold Upton Park, 50, 60 million they got for that. What did they do with the money? Now, what they could have done with the money is they could have actually done the inside of the stadium. They could have put retractable seating in or done something to move the seats. If you move the seats in to the pitch, then suddenly this nonsense about I hate the stadium, it goes away. I've basically, Jim, seen a number of fantastic evenings at that ground, right? When David Moyes was in charge, 3 seasons in Europe, we had some wonderful nights in there. The atmosphere was rocking, but it's the football that's being delivered on the pitch right now. So that's the first thing, and I'm going to be really, really quick here, but it's so important just to get out the board are unfortunately just not capable. Sullivan and Brady are not capable operators of running a Premier League football club anymore. You look around you, you've got some serious proper operators. Liverpool, Arsenal, these are massive sort of sports organisations, right? You've even got clubs like Brighton, Brentford, all these clubs that are superseding us now, right, because of their structure. He wants Moyes, he sacks Moyes. He gets him back, he gets rid of him. And, it's just the decision-making by Sullivan and Brady. Right. It's so poor. Right. It's really unprofessional. It's Mickey Mouse. Okay. And we need to get some proper
Tony, hold on the line.
Nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of it. The only thing I would say about, and again, I find myself not wanting to defend David Sullivan, but just to add some context to the conversation about where the money might have gone. I mean, the losses between 2018, 2019, and 2021 were in excess of 130 million. So with respect to the situation post-COVID, someone had to bridge those gaps. So I would imagine some of the finances, some of the money that West Ham, because in the last couple of years, you were a very profitable football club. I think the argument that Brady and Sullivan can't run a football club is wrong, because they can run a football club. What they can't run a football club is to the liking of a lot of the West Ham fans. Yeah. And I accept that. And, the Birmingham fans said the same things about them. And Birmingham post-Sullivan, ignoring the current regime that took them down into League Two, has been a car crash. So they can run a football club. They just say things that ultimately don't back up. And where the argument I don't understand is if they made these statements, which I heard them say, and they did say it, because I've ridiculed them when they sold Dimitri Payet and they bought Robert Snodgrass from Norwich. It wasn't exactly like for like, was it? No. And so I've heard them say these things. But why would they not have done the things with the stadium, given it was the thin edge of the wedge? It wouldn't have cost much money. There had to have been some form of restriction from stopping them from doing it. Yeah. Otherwise, if I was in their shoes, why would you want this endless argument being thrown in your face about a £5 or £6 million spend on rebooting certain aspects of the stadium?
Tony, you've made a number of good points, and the way you've pitched it with your tone and everything, I think you should be congratulated on that. Are you going to continue to boycott home games?
Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, like I said, I'm going
to go that bit further, Tony. What if West Ham are relegated and you haven't played your part as a fan?
Well, I'm never gonna not support them. But look, I get back to the thing about the way it's run, and it's just the Mickey Mouse decision making, and it's what you need is a proper structure in there. Now, with Sullivan and Brady, they want to keep a few shares and stay on the board. I'm not worried about that.
But they did have a proper structure.
What we need to do...
But, Tony, they did have a proper structure. Again, I mean, with respect to Moyes, you guys, not you personally, but your fan base wanted him out. Your fan base came on and wanted him out. And Moyes himself didn't like the sporting director.
Right, finish your point, Tony, then we'll move. Go on.
Please, can I just address this once and for all? This Moyes thing, it drives me absolutely mad, right? Now, this comes back to Sullivan and Brady. And now, Moyes, his last 6 months of his tenure, the league form was awful, really awful. It was kind of like Ange Postecoglou territory, right? Yep. So basically, we finished like 17th or something. We won the cup. That was amazing. But basically, we were getting hammered by Fulham, Palace, Arsenal at home. So there was some concerns about whether Moyes was the one to continue. But whatever would happen there, the point is, in his tenure, he has never employed a manager that's in a contract. He's always employed people that are out of work. Those coaches that are out of work largely are coaches or managers that have failed. Now, basically, if you just said, do you want to the fans, do you want Moyes to stay or do you want Lopetegui? I tell you now, 100%, the vast majority would have kept Moyes and wanted him to stay. But we didn't want Lopetegui. We didn't want Potter. And this is what goes on. You can't keep doing a short-term Mickey Mouse fix.
Right.
You need to go out with a proper structure and get a proper coach.
Tony.
Now, hopefully, Nuno is that man.
I'm glad you like the show. You've just played a big part in it, mate. That's why we let you go a bit. And we're delighted to have you join us, even at that length. Honestly, you made some very good points. So many West Ham fans. Going to speak to a few more. I mean, at some stage, maybe about 11 o'clock, we'll take a few more of your calls because you're lining up. But Tony, thanks for your call. Thanks for your points. West Ham, they certainly don't have the problems to seek at this time. So much chat right now about some of the big games in Europe. As you heard there, Newcastle in action tonight against Mourinho's Benfica. Further down the line, on the 6th of November in the Europa League, there's been so much chatter about the Aston Villa versus Maccabi Tel Aviv game. Last Thursday, it was announced that no Maccabi Tel Aviv fans will be allowed to attend the match at Villa Park on the 6th of November due to safety concerns. Since then, there has been something of a pile-on from all sides. Now, amidst discussion by UK politicians to see the original ban overturned, Maccabi have now said they will not be requesting an allocation of tickets regardless of discussions between the British government and the authorities. So they say they don't want tickets for next month's Europa League match away to Aston Villa over their own safety concerns for their own fans. That is what they cite, the safety concerns that they have for their own fans. Maccabi have said, our fans regularly travel all over Europe without incident, and to suggest that the reason our fans cannot be allowed to travel is due to their behaviour is an attempt to distort reality. Our fans know all too well this tactic and are too familiar where it can lead to. As a result of the hate-filled falsehoods, a toxic atmosphere has been created which makes the safety of our fans wishing to attend very much in doubt. The question remains, has a football match here been weaponised by all sides to further sow division? Green Party councillor and political commentator Martin Abrams joins us live. Martin, I'll put that very point to you. Has this match been weaponised by all sides to further sow division?
Well, good morning and good morning to your listeners. I mean, let's be clear. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are not the victims here. And as soon as they made this announcement last night that they wouldn't be accepting their ticket allocation, it was patently obvious that there'd then be a certain amount of furore trying to sort of conflate and frame this as a victory for the mob or a victory for anti-Semites and anti-Semitism, because there's been some absolutely shocking conflation in all of this. So I'm a Jewish councillor in Lambeth, and I find it really disturbing that people's concerns around these fans from Maccabi Tel Aviv attending Birmingham have been framed as anti-Semitism. Let's be clear, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are notorious football hooligans. They have a litany of examples of incidents from when they travel to away games or their home games in their domestic league. I mean, literally 24 hours ago, their derby game against Hapoel Tel Aviv had to be abandoned by the Tel Aviv police because both sides were throwing flares, were throwing smoke grenades, they were fighting before the game. Why would we actually want these fans to come to the UK?
Yeah, Martin, you're not talking about all Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. You're talking about maybe a section of them. And the club itself say they've been doing all they can do to try and stamp out any of these potential troublemakers. In their statement, they say, we've been working tirelessly to stamp out racism within the more extreme elements of our fan base. So they recognise it and they're trying to get rid of it.
When they came to Amsterdam last year, the Maccabi fans were marauding around Amsterdam. They were songs about there being no schools in Gaza because the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, have killed all the children in Gaza. What kind of exceptionalism makes politicians and much of the media class think that this is acceptable behaviour and something that we would want on our streets? But let's take this back a little bit, okay? Because I want to go back. So in February 2022, a couple of weeks after Russia had illegally invaded Ukraine, UEFA and FIFA banned them from all international competition, their national teams and their domestic teams from playing any international competition. That was the right decision. Okay, during the South African apartheid, 30 years, South African teams, rugby, cricket, other sports were all banned from playing any international competition because of the disgraceful apartheid regime that was taking place over 30 years in South Africa. Now, Israel, over the last 2 years, have been committing a genocide in Gaza that is now widely regarded as a genocide from the International Association of Genocide Scholars, from Amnesty International, and from the UN Commission.
That's something they
Why,
did.
no, let me finish. Let me finish this.
No,
Why-
you've
why
had
should-
a good run at it. That's
Yeah.
something they would deny. Simon, where do you stand on this?
Well, it's an interesting perspective because I'm always trying to decouple politics from sport as much as I possibly can, because I don't like politicians anywhere near sport, because most of the time they don't know what they're talking about, or they use it for an agenda, an alternative set of agendas. And I'm trying to work out what the agenda is in this particular situation. Well, some people would argue that marauding around Amsterdam were also groups of young Muslims running around on motorcycles attacking the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. So that's the other side of that particular conversation. But I'm trying to work out where the central concern is about this particular individual football match. If you want to campaign against UEFA for allowing them to play in a tournament, and you want to conflate the Russian situation with the Gaza situation, that's your gift. Then you go campaign against UEFA. But once the game has been sanctioned, we now look at the individual motivations for the agenda against it, because the position of Martin's side of the argument was to drag this into the political domain, because ultimately it did. Ayub Khan made it in his opening statement, made it a position which is we cannot ignore the political landscape. So while we talking about the safety of fans, or are we talking about a political agenda? Because having owned a football club and sat with the safety and advisory groups, knowing that their observations and their recommendations are not binary, they're an advisory group, it is a situation where you deal with the hooliganism side of things. So if you're talking about the hooliganism side of things, because lots of football clubs have an element of fans that behave rather poorly. And I understand the argument, why would we want to import it? It's like Napoli fans came over to Leicester recently and behaved very poorly in a UEFA Cup match, and no one was campaigning for their fans not to come here. And I saw you give 3 examples about 3 football matches in response to Lisa Nandy's argument about the precedent never being done before. All of your arguments are wrong, because in 2022, the reasons why the Rangers-Napoli game was not allowed to go ahead was because the Queen had passed away and the police were dealing with all the matters around the morning. In 2023, when Legia Warsaw played Villa, it had to do with the fans were sold tickets, but their fighting outside of the stadium resulted in the police on the very day banning the fans from going in the stadium. And the final example which you give, which is Rangers versus Celtic, is a complete misnomer, because I've been in a boardroom of Rangers and Celtic, and it's 2 football clubs that dislike as Jim knows very well, dislike their players celebrating in the away stadium. So they've banned one another, not because of the circumstances that you are detailing. So here we are now with a situation saying, is this about politics or is this about sport? Talking about from a sport point of view, I don't want you guys anywhere near sport, because most of the time you weaponize it and use it for your own particular agenda and your own particular motivations.
No, Simon, this was an operational policing matter by Birmingham City Council and West Midlands Police. They took a decision which should have stood. The politics was then introduced.
Having sat in situations where I've made decisions with the SAG group and the local police, and the police are a resource that you hire in and you bring them in to get the safety certificate. For example, I wanted 8,000 Millwall fans sitting inside a stadium, and the police said we don't want it. I provided the prerequisite amount of funding to be able to make sure that the police could police the game properly. So the argument is cooperation with Maccabi Tel Aviv. We don't want your 3,000 fans coming over here behaving badly. We want you to do your job, which is make sure that we know who's coming over, when they're coming over, and what they're doing. But the default position from your side of the argument was not to stop the hooliganism, was to stop the game or stop the fans.
Well, let me ask you this, Simon. Do you think it's right that Russian teams are banned from all international competitions?
You're asking me to conflate back into
no.
Hang on a second. I don't live in your. Hang on a second. I don't live in your world. I'm not trying to drag politics into sport. I sit here repeatedly on this show saying I don't want politics anywhere near sport. And conflating the Russian argument, conflating the Russian argument. Hang on. You want to drag me into? If you want to have that conversation, have it on the BBC, right? This is a sports show that's talking about the prism of sport. If you want to conflate the Russian argument with the Gaza-Israeli argument, we're dragging politics back into sport. I don't want to do that. I want you guys out of sport. I want you guys stop utilising sport to serve up an agenda. I'm a father.
You invited me on your show.
I'm a father.
You invited me on your show.
And absolutely, you're having
I'm
an
a
opportunity.
politician.
You're having an opportunity to talk about your particular view because it's a sports matter, and you're dealing in the space of sport and hiding behind the veneer of saying it's about hooliganism when we know it's about something else. I object to the cultural bullying side of things. I object to the idea that ultimately football fans are being categorised in a homogenous group, and you have been able to do that in this conversation. Just simply say that the entire Maccabi Tel Aviv fan base are racists and hooligans, and that's not true and it's not accurate. And you've used 3 examples to push back against the minister or the DCMS to suggest that 3 games that were cancelled previously were based upon the same circumstances, and you're wrong there too.
What happened on Sunday night, Simon?
What happened on Sunday night was something that happened in 2014 as well. 2 teams that don't play one another very, very regularly clashed in a circumstance that is not acceptable. That doesn't mean that necessarily it's going to replicate itself. In the same way that Napoli fans came to Leicester and do the same things inside their stadiums. But no one's trying to stop Napoli coming over and playing an English football. Why is that?
Martin, do you accept finally that the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans will not be coming, but it's because their own club has safety concerns about their own fans? That's the reason, right?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that is good news. But listen, I take it back to the fact that Israeli football teams should not be playing in international tournaments to start with.
Well, off you go to UEFA and take the argument with them then.
I mean, I will.
Off you go then. Off you go then. Do that one, because this argument's an easy one for you to have. Go have it with UEFA.
Simon, you've still not answered. If you think it's right for Russian teams to be banned, if you think it was right for the South African teams...
I think it's a completely different set of circumstances, and you're conflating it into a political argument. Take that argument up with UEFA. Take that argument up with UEFA.
Well, we won't be having this conversation if UEFA had taken that decision.
But we're now talking about with the reality of the fact that they haven't taken this decision, conflating the invasion of an unprovoked invasion of Ukraine against a situation in Israel, which is a very difficult line for me to walk because I am a father. I'm horrified by the images that I see coming out of Gaza, in the same way that I was horrified when I saw the October 7th atrocity as well. So I take your point, but again, we're dragging this conversation back into politics. The here and now is the game has been sanctioned. So why now are we stopping Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming here? I would suggest the veneer that you're putting forward and your side of the argument putting forward about hooliganism is a veneer for something completely different.
Well, the veneer of it being an anti-Semitic, issue that Maccabi fans, Israeli fans, and the conflation between stopping Israeli fans that have a history of hooliganism as some kind of anti-Semitic attack on those fans is an absolute disgrace. Because what that does is conflate Jewish people with those fans.
Martin, thank you for joining us. No doubt you've got a lot on your agenda. Green Party councillor and political commentator Martin Abrams. But the upshot is there'll be no Maccabi Tel Aviv fans in Birmingham for that match on the 6th of November. It's 11 o'clock.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Sean Dyche has signed a 2-year deal as Nottingham Forest new head coach. Our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says the club's statement's very different from the Postecoglou announcement just 8 games ago.
Then they were talking about his track record for winning trophies. In terms of Sean Dyche, they talk about his teams being defined by defensive organisation, resilience, strength from set pieces, mentioned in this statement as well.
Dyche's first game in charge at home to Porto in the Europa League is live on talkSPORT this Thursday. League One Blackpool have appointed former defender Ian Evatt as their new manager. Evatt left Bolton in January and succeeds Steve Bruce at Blackpool. Jared Bowen says West Ham will have to sit through the whole video of their latest Hammer horror show. Brentford eased to a 2-0 win at the London Stadium amid West Ham fan protests. Arsenal have apologised to Atletico Madrid for the cold showers ahead of their Champions League game. Diego Simeone's side had to leave for their hotel because there was no hot water at the Emirates. More on this at talksport.com. Sheffield Wednesday captain Barry Bannon's told us Danny Rohl needs a good start to appease the disgruntled Rangers fans, but is assuring them the 36-year-old was terrific at Wednesday.
His training sessions were top level, really intense, and he's a confident young man that he's probably beyond his years in terms of his knowledge of football.
Rohl's first game in charge of Rangers is away to Norway's Brann on Thursday afternoon. And to rugby union, where England's all-time leading point scorer Emily Scarratt has announced her retirement from the sport. Scarratt, who played club rugby for Loughborough Lightning, won 2 World Cups and 11 Six Nations titles over 119 international caps.
talkSPORT News.
The SNP says the government should bring in new laws to take away Prince Andrew's titles, and government borrowing hits its highest September level since the pandemic. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the weather, our range of services is longer than the queue at the Chippy on a Friday night. Tyres, MOTs, brakes and more. Book today at quickfit.com.
Another mixed day with sunny spells and blustery showers for most. Those showers most frequent in the north and west, where it's also breezy, warmer in the southeast.
Blistering debate is right. Good morning, everybody. Tuesday morning, October the 21st. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Thanks for all the messages. Thanks for the enormous reaction we truly get every morning between the hours of 10 and 1 on this show. Thank you to everybody who involves themselves in it with us, because that is what we are all about. It's your show as well. If you're watching live on TV, you're doing it in a number of ways. Samsung, LG, Fire TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch us, you can find us, and that is fine by us. Rangers apparently found their man at last yesterday. The German Danny Rohl was appointed the new man in charge at Rangers, taking over from the previously sacked Russell Martin. It might have been Steven Gerrard. It looked like it, then that one went. It might have been Kevin Muscat. Looked like it, then he exited stage left. In came Danny Rohl, and he has got the job. And this was Rohl speaking to Rangers TV.
In Munich, you are challenged every 3 days in different competitions. You have big games ahead, and you have to win. And this makes our job. Yeah, I like it very much, I must say this. And this is also, I think, what I like, that our fans are very demanding how we play. I think we have nearly 50,000 every day, or every match day at home, And I think this is fantastic to see the stadium, and people come in the stadium, they want to see wins, and they want to be entertainment from our side. And I think this is crucial for me, and I took a lot from the last years on the highest level. I said this many times, I want to be on an ambitions club, and I think this is exactly the challenge I want to have. This is an ambitions club. We want to win things, and not just in 2-3 years, as soon as possible.
So it's a 2.5-year deal. I wonder how the fans are feeling about that. David Edgar, the host of the Rangers Heart and Hand podcast, joins us live on the show. David, how's it going down amongst the Rangers supporters?
I think there was initially some disappointment, Jim, because, as you mentioned there were two names that looked as though they were coming, and I would say they were the first and second choice among the Rangers fans. I think, firstly, Rangers fans wanted Steven Gerrard, and it looked like we were getting him, then we didn't. Then it looked like we were getting Kevin Muscat, and we didn't. And Danny Rohl, his name had been mentioned, but then he appeared to take himself out of the running last week, and suddenly he was right back in. But the more we hear about him, I think the more excited fans are getting about him. He seems to have a great track record. And more importantly, Jim, I think that he is getting such a good press from Sheffield Wednesday fans compared to when Russell Martin, for example, took over, when fans of his previous club told us that we had made a big error, and they proved to be correct.
Okay, I mean, as a member of fan media, no doubt you'll be trooping along to the Danny Rohl news conference later on today. What's your first question to him going to be?
I think I would like to know about why he pulled out last week, or appeared to pull out. His team certainly said he had. And then what changed for him to come in. That would be my first question. But then find out a little bit more about his style, what he wants to see from his team, how he feels he can improve a team that's looked dreadful in parts this season, if we're being totally honest. It's a big job, Jim, because what happened after that disastrous Russell Martin reign is that the fans' patience has worn very thin. So he needs to hit the ground running, which is very difficult for any manager when they don't have a pre-season. But that's the reality. He's just got to do it.
Simon, what do you think Danny Rohl's getting into at this particular time? And also, Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell have come in for a lot of the heat.
Yeah.
The 49ers seem to have escaped much of the criticism.
Well, I was going to ask you that, David, how you feel that your club has operated during this period of time where it seems that everybody that they're going to be interviewing seems to find its way into the public domain quicker than a quick thing from Quickland. It doesn't appeal to me that this is the way that a big club should operate. How have you viewed... we saw the other day that I'm not a fan of Kevin Thelwell, and I'm not a great admirer of some of the things that have come out of Patrick Stewart's mouth, but I think that they were responsible, to some extent, delegated to make the decision surrounding the appointment of Russell Martin. It would appear to me that the owners have gotten involved in trying to get Gerrard in place, and they couldn't sell it either. So how are you perceiving the structure of your football club, given the fact that a new ownership model that owns big clubs as well should be really able to get hold of your club and start to shake and bake it?
I think you've nailed it, Simon. That's the exact feelings Rangers fans have at the moment. It's almost shocked, really, at how poor the whole thing has been since they came in. Kevin Thelwell has really alienated a large portion of the fan base. Some crazy decisions so far, including hiring his son to be the head of recruitment at Rangers, which... even if the guy's a genius, just looks terrible from the outside. And this particular search, the last 2 weeks, I would describe as a circus, because it has been, as you said, 100% correct, it has been in the media every day. Every twist and turn seemed to be reported. It looked like it was Steven Gerrard only to not be. So we kind of felt we had been led up the garden path a little bit there. And I think we've been shocked, really, how many things you've got wrong, because I don't blame people for making mistakes that can't be seen without hindsight. But these could be seen before Russell Martin.
Do you got any reason? I mean, is it? It's not. I don't believe it's unique to Rangers. Big football club, big scale. I know. I understand it. But Leeds is a big football club. These guys are big, experienced operators. The one thing I thought that they would know was how to seed themselves into a football club that's big and powerful in and of itself. Why do you think this level of seeming ineptitude or not grasping the mettle of what they've got on their hands? Do you get any feel as to why that is? Are they detached? Are they arrogant? Is it a case of they don't understand the animal they've got? What?
I think they don't understand or didn't understand it. Hopefully they're beginning to now. I think also that there was a sense of we can just copy and paste things we've done at other clubs, and it will definitely be successful here, not taking into account the environment, not taking into account the differences between Scottish and English football. Scottish football is not as high quality, but it's a different ecosystem, and you have to be aware of the subtleties around it. But also they made one bad decision after another, and then they were making decisions from that bad foundation. And now we're in a situation where they really have to kind of rip it up and start again.
Well, David, as you know, it was largely perceived down here that many of the Rangers fans in your neck of the woods were not prepared to give Russell Martin a chance from day one. Is it going to be different for Danny Rohl?
I think so. Without wishing to criticise Russell Martin further, because he's gone now, his manner didn't appeal to fans. The football he wanted to play, he was never able to implement, didn't appeal to the fans. Whereas I think with Danny Rohl, there's a suggestion that he wants to get the ball forward quickly. He wants to play on the front foot. He wants to be attacking. He's not a possession for possession's sake guy. And I think the fans now are just feeling, right, okay, this is the situation and we have to get behind it. Doesn't mean we're not critical of the higher-ups, because we certainly are. They are very much going to have to prove to us that, as the stuff Simon said was 100% correct, they're going to have to prove that they understand that they've made errors and they've learned from them. But I don't think anybody is blaming Danny Rohl or whatever. I think he will get a little bit of time, not a long time, but a little bit of time to show us what he's got.
We heard, and I know it's we're often guilty of hearing a few loud noises and associating it with everybody, but the common theme that we got coming through yesterday was he's a yes man. He's a yes man. I mean, the fact he said bloody yes, obviously, to the job makes him a yes man by definition. And once narratives get created, people have to live with them forever. Is that coming through in your ear about this is a yes man, this is a yes man?
Yeah, definitely.
Why? Why is he a yes man?
I think it's because there's a perception, whether it's true or not, that both Gerrard and Muscat walked away because they didn't want to work with Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. And therefore, someone who is prepared to work with those two is going to toe the line. And it's a reflection of the unpopularity of Stewart and Thelwell onto him. But you're absolutely right. By taking the job, he's agreed. I don't know anyone who takes a job and doesn't agree to do what the company wants him to do.
Indeed.
But you're absolutely correct. That is a perception he'll have to deal with. But I dare say he's coming in and thinking, I can get the team working. But the fans, I think, will be able to separate Danny Rohl, the person, from Thelwell and Stewart. There's no guarantee they're going to be here long term, even if Danny Rohl succeeds.
Yeah.
Because there are still a lot of questions about the transfer dealings at Rangers, a lot, and the fact that the way that this has been handled, I think, reflects poorly on everyone, because I go back to what Simon said there. There is absolutely no need for every twist and turn and flight and meeting to be reported in the press, and yet that's what we've seen for 2 weeks.
Well, David, enjoy your meeting with Danny Rohl later on today. David, all I can tell you is advise you to listen to the final hour of the show today, because former Rangers player Josh Windass is speaking about Danny Rohl from his experience of working with Danny at Sheffield Wednesday, and I think you're going to like what you hear. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Now then, it's talkSPORT's biggest cash prize ever. A massive £100,000 completely tax-free could be yours. If you're the lucky winner chosen to come to the talkSPORT Towers on November the 13th, you'll get the chance to play and win that incredible cash prize. 100 grand. Keep listening. This is how you can do it.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Now then, Manchester City play in the Estadio de la Ceramica tonight when they're up against Villarreal. That's in the Champions League, of course. But in August, the Spanish Football Federation approved plans to move Villarreal's December fixture against Barcelona to Miami, Florida. A decision which has sparked pushback from fans and players. So much so, a theme of, if you like, symbolic protests have begun in Spain. Players refusing to move for the first 15 seconds of matches in La Liga at the weekend. There on Saturday, the protests continued as the start of Barcelona's game with Girona and Atletico Madrid's fixture against Osasuna. The players just stood there, rooted to the spot. Player protests across La Liga this weekend were not widely broadcast, and the Spanish League asked TV companies covering the games not to show the initial moments. Simon, it seems a bit dictatorial, is it not? La Liga being a bit dictatorial in their response to this. I mean, symbolic protests, are they powerful in their own right?
What are they doing? I mean, if I was owner of one of their clubs, I'd fine them for the 15 seconds that they don't play, which is a significant amount of money for these overpaid little urchins. The fact is that what is it they think they were doing? Why are these games being taken to other parts of the world? Do I agree with the principle of it? No, I don't like it. Why are they doing it? They're doing it for money. Why are they doing it for money? Because the cost implications of the game are such that they need to generate more revenue. And where does that money go?
To the players.
To the very players that are protesting.
Right.
So what is it I understand that the fans will like this because they'll think they're on their side, right? The players are on their own side. Players have always been on their own side. The players are all about themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that, but let's not lionise the players and the fans going, well, they're sticking up for us, and they're not. They're sticking up for themselves. So the issue is that they don't fancy travelling to play games somewhere else. Tough. You are paid enormous amounts of money and the game is generating enormous amounts of revenue and you're taking it all.
But they feel, though, there should at least be a bit of dialogue about this. I mean...
so they can tell them what they don't want to do. We know what they don't want to do. They've made the point clear. We don't want to do it. Got it. We don't need a meeting for that.
Well, the Spanish version of the PFA, you'll love this, the Spanish Players Union, say they coordinated the captains of each La Liga club to, quote, protest symbolically against what they say is a lack of transparency, dialogue and coherence on the part of the league regards these fixtures being taken away from Spain.
So what they mean is they haven't been given an opportunity to tell people that they don't want to do it. They haven't been given a physical audience to say, we don't want to do it. Right? We know that.
Should they not speak to them, though, Simon? Come on, be serious.
To what end? So that they can listen. So I'll speak to you, Jim, right? But you're still bloody doing it, right? But I want to tell you that I don't like it. You're still bloody doing it. Right? But I want to tell you that I object to it because it means that I'm going to have my player welfare is going to be compromised. You're still bloody doing it, right? Do you feel happy that you had the audience? No, you don't feel happy that the audience. So it's not about having an audience. It's about putting a stop to it. And again, the argument would be, if you accept as players, and I know I'm being very simplistic in this, if you accept as players that there's going to be an erosion of your economic returns over a period of time, then fine, we can have this conversation. If you don't accept that, then don't waste my time. Because the money that I'm getting predominantly is supporting your opportunity. So get on with it and pat yourself on the back and pinch yourself and believe the opportunities that you probably didn't think you were ever going to get in your lives are being facilitated by people like me that run football clubs for people like you to play in.
Right. While I have you in this lovely mood, I cannot imagine where you're going to go with this. Because reports also in Spain suggest that Lamine Yamal of Barcelona, the young wonder kid, is today close to signing terms with a website specialising in selling sports stars' apparel and merchandise with autographs. As a result, he's been told by his advisors, stop signing autographs.
Yeah, scarcity is bigger.
So he's already stopped signing shirts for fans at the club's training ground. That's happened. He's not doing that. And now anyone who wished to obtain a signed piece of Yamal memorabilia will have to go through a website and pay for it. So no longer can you get Lamine to give it that.
Well, it's sad.
There you go, for nothing.
It's sad. It's twofold. There is a cottage industry that's been built underneath autographs that have been, every time you sign an autograph for somebody standing outside a stadium, they're often reselling it themselves. So there is that cottage industry which has sparked some of the reaction. But the sadness is that you're going to have one of the things that's being lost more and more and more and more is the value of the young kids watching football, being able to touch, being near their local heroes, and be able to admire them.
Yeah,
I don't want my son having a footballer as a role model, not because I don't want him as a footballer. I want him to have his own standards, and I want the role model in his life to be his dad, not a footballer.
All right.
Right. So the role model,
problem for him,
big problem.
Yeah.
The role models I don't need to be footballers, but kids. And I loved football when I grew up. When I saw Kevin Keegan come to play in 1977, I think it was, against Palace in a League Cup or FA Cup game, I couldn't believe I was seeing Emlyn Hughes and Kevin Keegan and Ray Clements and all those players.
Did you get his autograph?
No, I didn't, but that wasn't the point. The value of the footballer. So now we've got a situation where footballers are now commodities. They're being commodified by other people.
Yeah.
If you sign autographs and he's like having author, it's like you go and buy. I mean, I bought the boxer the bite fight shorts from Evander Holyfield versus Mike Tyson, and they were signed by Evander Holyfield, so they have value. If he signs everything, then the value of that autograph becomes less and less for those that make an industry out of autographs. So certain players like Lamine Yamal, who are superstars in the making, that are unique, that potentially may transcend the sport, like Ronaldo, like Messi, they're going to commodify them, and they're going to protect them, and they're going to make them only through authorised sources. And that is sad, but that's what football has become. Yeah. And that's why people will sit there going, I love non-league, I love the lower leagues, because at least it's real.
Exactly. I've watched with interest when you leave the building at lunchtime and you're mobbed. Not so much for autographs, for photographs. But I notice you don't pose for a photograph unless your hair's right. But anyway, it's good today, so go for it. Plenty of photos on the go when Simon leaves the building. We are only halfway through. It's 11:30. Having fun live on talkSPORT.
Sean Dyche has been confirmed as the new head coach at Nottingham Forest. It's a 2-year contract, but our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says the club statement makes it very clear the side's priorities have changed as a result of their season so far.
They talk about his teams being defined by defensive organisation, resilience, strength from set pieces, mentioned in this statement. So in the space of 8 games, they've gone Forest from talking about winning silverware to basically trying to stay in the Premier League, and it's now become a bit of a relegation dogfight.
Dyche's first game in charge will be at home to Porto in the Europa League, live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Now, Nuno Espirito Santo admits he's got a serious problem getting West Ham fans back on side. Here's what they're telling talkSPORT this morning after last night's protests.
We have got 2 clowns in charge, and it's not a circus anymore. I won't go to the ground.
Too many people not playing for the badge, not proud to play for the club.
They've got some good youngsters, Pearson Fionn in the youth. They've got Mohamedou Kante. Give them a break. Give them a chance.
Meanwhile, talkSPORT's Stanley Murphy thinks this could be as bad as West Ham get under Nuno after that painful 2-0 defeat to Brentford last night.
He's got to find a team quickly that he can settle on and trust in and get at least to a place where they're harder to play against and harder to beat. He's got a big job on his hands.
There's more on that at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+ gambleaware.org.
We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM at this stage. Look at some of the top sporting events, the odds round and about them. Matt, good morning to you. What's left of it? West Ham 0, Brentford 2. What did you think, mate?
Yeah, morning, fellas. Pretty desperate from West Ham, wasn't it? I think 2-0 to Brentford was probably a little bit harsh on Brentford. They maybe could have had a couple more. Igor Thiago just offside. Kevin Schade hits the bar when he probably should score. I think there was a line on comms last night when Brentford went 1-0 up. Never has there been a match where one side deserves the opening goal more, and it kind of continued like that for West Ham. On the flip side, Brentford were very impressive. I thought, gents.
Yeah.
Plenty of creativity going forward. Seen them lengthening the odds for relegation. I, for one, was certainly of the opinion that Brentford would struggle this season. But all being said, I think they've made a pretty decent start to the campaign. They're above the likes of Newcastle, Fulham, and putting distance between themselves and the drop. For West Ham, big run of games coming. Ellen Road on Friday night, Newcastle at home, Burnley at home. Nuno's got to pick up points, I think, in those 3 games, or he's on the verge of completing a stat that I don't think's ever been done in the Premier League era. There is a chance that Nuno could have managed Forest and West Ham in the same season and they both get relegated. I don't think that's ever been done in the Premier League, but I don't know what you made of it, gents. I thought West Ham were fairly underwhelming in a big game that it was last night.
It's a talkSPORT exclusive on Friday night, Simon. Leeds against West Ham. Simon, here's the thing. At Brentford, the transition has apparently been fairly seamless, hasn't it? From Thomas Frank to Keith Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many points they had after 8 games last year. I mean, the good thing about Keith Andrews is that he's lost some top players in terms of Mbamo and Wissa, and they seem to have not missed a beat. They're the beneficiaries of 3 teams at the bottom of the league that are very poor at this moment in time, and other sides around them that are not doing great either. But listen, I mean, Keith Andrews, I mean, whether it's to Martin O'Neill's sugarcane or not, is learning on the job and seemingly not creating any jeopardy. But I never thought he would, because I didn't think Matthew Benham would take this punt if he didn't know what he had on his hands. I mean, he hasn't made many missteps.
Yeah.
And so to allow Thomas Frank to go to Tottenham or to not stand in his way, and then to recruit from within, he must have known what he was looking at, and what he had. So one would expect that, given the quality of owner, that Brentford should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's no longer referred to as a set-piece specialist, is he?
No, I mean, that's just the way it's
a lot more than that.
That's an unkind way to, everyone's got a past, hasn't they? People have done something in their life, doesn't mean they're going to be defined for it going forward.
Exactly.
He's got the job and a legitimate opportunity to be a Premier League manager, and he's taken 10 points out of 8 games, or whatever he's taken.
And Leeds play West Ham Friday. Who wins it?
Well, you've got to say it's Leeds to win. It's at Ellen Road. I mean, if Calvert-Lewin can eventually score a goal, then you're going to get some opportunity. I know he's creating opportunities for other people. I like Leeds as a football club. I quite like them as a team. I watched them the other day. I think they're quite entertaining, and they're not as entertaining as they were 2 or 3 years ago when they came up with Bielsa.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult game. I think if Nuno goes up there and locks them out and gets a point, he'll be happily coming back down the M1 in a good frame of mind.
Yeah. You'll be taking your boys to win it, though, Matt, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going. So hopefully they can get all 3 points. Interestingly, West Ham are about 3-1 to beat us on Friday night, which is a hell of a price. Just going back to your point about Calvert-Lewin, Sam, if you look at those teams that are sort of down there, and you talk about Brentford's recruitment, their new centre forward knows where the goal is, and he looks a handful, and he's scoring. Whereas you got the likes of Calvert-Lewin not quite firing for us. West Ham, where's the goals coming from? Wolves, where's the goals coming from? I think Brentford have signed a lad that can score the goals that probably keeps them in the division.
He was terrific last night. Loved his post-match interview. Tonight, the Champions League then, live in talkSPORT, Matt. Newcastle Benfica, live in talkSPORT 2, Villarreal Manchester City. What's your thought?
Yeah, 3 English teams in action tonight. I think it's always magic up at St James's Park under the lights for a European night, particularly as Jose will be there. He'll be the pantomime villain, no doubt. He's actually got a poor record at St James's Park. He's only won 3 of his 12 away games there. Newcastle odds on 11-20 to win. They got probably deservedly beat by Barcelona, but they beat USG last time out. Benfica and no wins from 2, having lost to Chelsea and Qarabag. So Newcastle expected to do the business there. Manchester City go to Villarreal. Pepper's never lost to Villarreal. Every time I come on here, I seem to talk about Erling Haaland, but he's 23 in 13 for club and country this year. He's 9-4 first goal scorer, 3-4 anytime. And then, of course, there's Arsenal Atletico. Arsenal really miserly in the Premier League and in the Champions League. I think they're yet to concede a goal in the Champions League, and Atletico have never won away against an English side in the group or league phase of the competition. So all in all, gents, the English team's really in the driving seat tonight. That treble, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, is 3-1. What are you thinking to that? Or is it seems pretty straightforward, or is there an upset that lets that bet down?
I think Arsenal Atletico is maybe tough, Simon.
I think Arsenal are a very good side.
Yeah.
And I think that they can beat pretty much anyone that's in front of them right now. So I don't hold that much hope for Atletico. I think so. Yeah, I think Arsenal will I think all 3 of the bookies
the English clubs could do it. Yeah, I hope so. EFL Championship fixtures tonight, Matt.
Yeah, there's always plenty going on in the Championship and around the Champions League as well. Few that catch the eye: Millwall, Stoke, Ipswich, Charlton, Portsmouth, Coventry. Coventry, I think, the only unbeaten side in the Premier League and EFL, the only unbeaten side left. Frank Lampard doing a hell of a job there. And just looking at their odds to win the league, at the end of last month they were 9-2. They're all the way into 8-5 now. Ipswich still just behind them at 33-10, but of course Borough beat them on Friday night, and Middlesbrough about 5-1 to win the league. I think it's we always talk about the promoted side struggling in the Premier League, but often the sides that yo-yo between the Prem and the Championship, they always dominate the league below and come straight back up. It's nice to see Coventry, Borough, Stoke, West Brom, Millwall, Bristol City all sort of coming out the pack and being good challengers. Ipswich haven't quite clicked yet. Leicester are thereabouts, and Southampton have got a few struggles, but will most probably come good. So the most competitive league I think in Europe is really living up to its name.
Matt, thanks very much indeed. Remember, you can visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So now we know Sean Dyche is in at Nottingham Forest. Danny Rohl is in at Rangers. It is a 2.5-year deal for the German Danny Rohl. So what are Rangers getting in this fella? Former Rangers player Josh Windass knows all about Danny Rohl because he worked with him more recently at Sheffield Wednesday. Josh was on his way to training at Wrexham this morning, and I had a quick chat with him. And I said to Josh right away, Rohl to Rangers, is that a good fit?
I do think it is, to be honest. Obviously, people talk about the mentality and stuff to manage and play up there. And I think having been at Leipzig and been at Bayern Munich and been at clubs with that expectation where you need to win every single week, obviously it stood him in good stead. And then he's obviously gone and been a manager for a few years since then. And obviously my experience with him was top. Not just his coaching and his tactics, but he builds a real belief within a group and a club that I've not really seen before, to be honest. So, yeah, I think it'll be a perfect fit for Danny.
If anything, what did impress you most about him?
Just his detail to the game plan, how every single player knew from every blade of grass on the pitch what they were doing in the game, defensively, offensively. And more so than that, you can have all the coaching points and tactics in the world, but if you can't make a group of players believe in everything that you're doing, then it doesn't matter what style of football you play, whether you go long or whether you go short. If the players don't believe in what you're doing, then it's tough. And Danny really galvanised a full group to believe everything he was saying and everything he was doing, and yeah, he was really good, Jim, really good.
Josh, you were at the club, you know the supporters. There were a lot of suggestions from some Rangers fans yesterday that Danny Rohl is a yes man. Is he?
Not that I found out anyway, not when I was in his office. But no, obviously the fans up there are always going to have their opinion. They're really passionate about the football club. But yeah, in terms of management picks, yeah, I'm not sure you could have got one much better, to be honest. He's a young coach. He's ruthless when he has to be. And like I said, he's been at Bayern Munich. He's worked with top players. So dealing with players at Rangers, I don't think it's going to be a problem with him.
Josh, you know the club. Can you believe where Rangers have got to right now?
To be honest, no. It's crazy watching it from afar, how they're not picking up results against inferior teams. But I guess every club goes through these little ruts. They will turn it around no matter who the manager is, simply because they have the better players. So that's that. But I think Danny will come in and he'll galvanise the group, like I said, that he did here. He'll make all the players believe in again, and hopefully that transforms to the support.
Simon, I know you like Josh Windass. Danny Rohl, Josh says, ruthless when he has to be. So no doubt that some Rangers fans may have to eat their words when they've said he's a yes man.
Well, they'll probably gladly do it, won't they? Because they can't go. If they get it wrong, they'll be happy with getting it wrong, won't they? In terms of if they get it right and he is a yes man and he's no good, they'll be pleased with themselves. And if he isn't and he does a good job, then they'll forget the fact that they were negative about in the first place and they'll take the upside of him doing well. I mean, my understanding of this guy is not only is he very methodical, very detailed, very forensic and does his due diligence, because that's one thing. You can have all the dossiers in the world. Don Revie was a master of getting dossiers, wasn't he? But it's about the ability to be able to lead football players. And as Josh was alluding to very articulately, I might add, was about the idea of how you can play whichever way you want, but if you don't convince the players or get the players on point or cut their attention, doesn't matter what system you play. And what I get the impression about this guy is that he's got the ability to be diligent, focused and know his game, be across his brief, but he also can lead these players. And he cuts a similar sort of cloth from the guy at Brighton, the Brighton manager.
Yes.
He cuts the same sort of swath. Ursula.
Yeah.
He cuts the same sort of swath as he does. So if they've got someone that resembles the capabilities that he's got, and it seems to me this younger breed of manager do something that the older breeds of managers didn't really do a lot of, which was detail, get right into it, get right underneath the nuts and bolts of everything, know everything of it. I mean, information is great, it's how you deploy it. So if you know the mechanics of every single play and you make sure that you understand all that's going on and there's no surprises to you, that'll get you some way. But these younger managers, they're really very focused on that. The devil's in the detail. And then out of that becomes their management confidence.
Yeah.
That might be because they want that additional level of knowledge alongside their natural enthusiasm to be able to convey to the people that they're going to be motivating, I've got this and I know what you are, who you are, and I know what he does and what he doesn't. So
he's got to hit the ground running,
I'm
Simon.
optimistic for him.
He'll have to hit the ground running. The Europa League beckons for Rangers. They're off to Norway. Brann against Rangers Thursday night, 5:45 kickoff. And while Rangers were drawing 2-2 with Dundee United at the weekend, Brann were beating Haugesund whoever they are, by 4-1. Danny Rohl in the job, in position at Rangers from this point onwards. Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Buy now at dazn.com/boxing.
Absolute cracker this Saturday, isn't it? Former heavyweight champion and the current WBO interim champion Joseph Parker takes on the WBA interim heavyweight champion Fabio Wardley. Live from the O2, the winner takes a huge step towards Alexander Usyk's undisputed title. Watch it live this Saturday only on DAZN. And talking about Alexander Usyk, he will fight for another 2 years. We have reaction coming up for you on that from his manager Igis Klimas, who joins us on the show today. Igis, I think now, is in flight between Lithuania and the US of A, but he spoke to me just before he boarded that flight, Igis Klimas, on why Usyk has made the decision to fight on. And we'll get to that very shortly. Simon, one of the pick of the games tonight, undoubtedly up in the northeast, Newcastle United against Benfica. Jose Mourinho arriving with Benfica, of course, for this one. And of course, Jose Mourinho knows all about the Geordie roar in his time in English football. He went up there often enough to St James's Park, and he's been talking about that special Newcastle atmosphere.
I told him that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Even as an opponent, it's beautiful. Of course, they are going to play with the Newcastle players, but I think they will respect us as an opponent. They will respect our game. They will respect if we are going to be successful. It's beautiful to play here. It's a different profile than to play in the London stadiums. And we have to cope with that emotion. We have to cope with it. We have to be strong enough to cope with it.
You see, he's right, isn't he? You know, to get something really special, you've got to go to a place like Newcastle. Get out of London. Yeah. Go up to the northeast. Go to St James's Park, a ground full of passion, full of supporters who absolutely love their football club and aren't afraid to show it. Yeah. It's a special atmosphere.
Well, it is. To some extent.
You deny the Geordie roar, don't you?
No, I don't. I'd qualify that in a second. But when clubs are starved of success, and the only thing they win is the League Cup, and then the whole media goes on a celebratory lap for them, then of course there's an atmosphere inside the stadium. London clubs are, like Arsenal and Chelsea, are used to winning things, so there is a different atmosphere. But also on the real side of it, in teams like Newcastle, they are the centre of the town.
Oh yeah.
So everything flows through that football club, and they are such a valuable part of the commodity. Now, my argument about the Geordie roar was with John Hall and Douglas Hall at the time, because they used to go on and on about this Geordie roar, and I saw it and heard it when Newcastle scored. But prior to that, in my view, and I think it's changed recently, because they hated Ashley, you know, that they would, you know, once he had gone, the enthusiasm levels, ding dong, the witch is dead, the enthusiasm levels went up to such a level that they're back really igniting. The environment is, again, what it was before. But when I took Palace up there a few times, I was like, is that it then? I mean, you're the same as everybody else. You're waiting to be entertained, and when they've scored, yeah, you've got a wonderful roar.
Maybe Newcastle then couldn't get up for Palace.
Well, maybe. It could have been just that. It could have been just that. But I used to have this regularly with Sir John and with Douglas and with the late Freddie Shep. Yeah, what's all this noise? I mean, it's not, is it? It's the same as everybody else. You go to a football club. But I do accept and do agree with the principle.
Why? Because Josie's saying it?
No, not because Josie's just...
Yuri's lapdog.
Josie is just playing to the gallery. He does it. It was up in your part of the world last year, waxing lyrical about Rangers, wasn't he?
Yeah, but listen to what he's saying here about Newcastle. I've told my players it's beautiful. It's an extraordinary atmosphere in this stadium and in the city. He's right. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what he's referring to. He's managed in London. He could have gone and managed in Newcastle anytime he wanted to, didn't he? But he didn't seem to want to. So it can't be that beautiful, can it? He goes up there and he's talking about the game in hand, like he did last year with Fenerbahce when we were playing Rangers. And so everyone was like, "Oh, is he going to get the job? Is he going to go for a Rangers job?" No, he's not. So he's just talking about the dynamics of a game, making sure that the opposition are given due deference. And Mourinho will be up to his tricks, whatever he thinks of the wonderful, beautiful atmosphere inside Newcastle Stadium. But there's no doubt that the atmosphere at times... I remember watching the Leeds Derby playoff semi-final and thinking, that's an atmosphere. Certain clubs can create certain atmospheres. And when Newcastle fans are at it, their stadium is electric. Yeah. No doubt about it.
It is. 2 wins, though. In their first 8 games. Eddie Howe's been talking. I mean, it was put to him, this season, is it yet to spark for you?
Frustrating is the feeling, I think, because I think we're so close to being something more, getting better results than we have. I think the team performances have been strong. I think we've been very good defensively, although there was a couple of lapses against Brighton. That's all it was that we got punished for. But you make your own luck, and you can only turn things your own way by doing the right things continually. And so I don't think we're far away, and we've just got to keep to our beliefs.
And they will do that. I think Newcastle do it tonight. I think this could be a special game. They've got to come alive soon. And I think this might be the occasion they do it.
So I want Newcastle to be successful. I want them to break the ceiling of opportunities. You know, I want them to punch their way into the top 6 and stay in there and create disruption and be a competitive football club so that we don't have the same old faces in the same old spaces. I want that opportunity for them. And of course, in the Champions League, any team that's British, English, that's playing against one of the continental sides, I want to see us win. I want to see them win. And I like Eddie Howe. You know, my view of Eddie Howe has completely changed because I've got new information, and the new information has made me change my mind. I questioned his appetite for the Celtic job at the time. I questioned the veracity of his Bournemouth side that, in my view, couldn't defend, and when they stopped scoring goals, they got relegated.
Yeah.
But I was wrong, because I think what he's done at Newcastle, I still maintain, despite the winning of the League Cup, that the holy grail that Newcastle's ownership bought Newcastle for, winning the Premier League, will not be something that Eddie Howe delivers.
You still think that?
Yeah, I do. Are they any nearer then? They can't. They're being stopped. They're not allowed to win the Premier League because they can't do what Manchester City and Chelsea have been able to achieve.
Eddie's got them into the Champions League twice.
He has, and that's great.
Yeah.
So they're a participation team. That's not what Newcastle wanted to be. They wanted to be a winning side. I don't suppose the Saudis, when they were buying Newcastle, thought, I know what I want. I want that League Cup. That's the one that's going to send me home. That's the one that's going to really reignite our nation and make sure that all the tourists flow into Saudi. It's because they wanted to use the Premier League opportunity by being a huge football team and successful, and the League Cup doesn't cut it. So, but they're not going to be allowed. Unless we change the PSR, which I hope they do in their voting regulations, then Newcastle are going to be kept away from being able to rival Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, and whoever else is in the list of clubs that have got the Man United, that have got the list of revenue, that don't have to build the way that Newcastle will have to build.
I must say something, it's an absolutely great fixture, isn't it? Mourinho does, I mean, I can see that. When he takes a team to an English club now, whoever that team is, whether it was Fenerbahce of late, nowadays it's Benfica, there's an extra edge to it. As you rightly say, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up to some of his tricks.
Mourinho, isn't he? He has, over a 25-year period, or best part of it, has engaged, entranced, and irritated the media in equal measure.
Yeah. Anyway, Newcastle United against Benfica. Jose Mourinho's Benfica, live on talkSPORT. Can't wait for that. It is 12 noon.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines, it's just coming up to 2 minutes past 12. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Sean Dyche is Nottingham Forest's third permanent manager this season after signing a 2-year deal. The club statement mentioned Dyche's defensive organisation and strength from set pieces. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
Forest say those qualities align closely with their current squad and also the club's footballing identity. So in the space of 8 games, they've gone, Forest, from talking about winning silverware to basically trying to stay in the Premier League, and it's now become a bit of a relegation dog.
Dyche's first game in charge at home to Porto in the Europa League is live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Ian Evert's the new Blackpool head coach. Everett takes over from Steve Bruce with Blackpool bottom of League One. Barry Bannon is assuring Rangers fans their new manager is top level. Sheffield Wednesday's captain played under Danny Rohl for 2 seasons, and Bannon tells talkSPORT the confident 36-year-old will need a good start.
You know what it's like up there, they're passionate, and if you don't get results early, then you can see with the previous manager it don't last long.
Now, with Pat Cummins a doubt for the Ashes, Steve Smith's promising a seamless transition if he has to step in and captain Australia.
I've stood in a couple of times over the last few years. I think since Pat started I've done 6 games maybe, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. I know how the team operates. We're in a good place, so no, if it happens I'll look forward to it.
Cummins hasn't started bowling yet as he recovers from a back injury. And Australia's women will be without their captain Alyssa Healy for their Cricket World Cup game with England tomorrow. She's been ruled out of the match with a calf injury. Both England and Australia are already into the semis. There's loads more on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Pressure grows on the government to strip Prince Andrew officially of his titles as his late accuser's book is released today, and 2 grooming gang victims quit the National Inquiry Survivors Panel. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Another mixed day, sunny spells and blustery showers for most. Those showers most frequent in the north and west, where it's also breezy, warmer in the southeast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 4 minutes past 12 noon this Tuesday lunchtime, the 21st of October. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Coming to you, what are you looking so happy about?
Oh, some of my friends just said something rude to me.
All right, that's fine. I was just about to burst into the usual. We are live everywhere, not only on talkSPORT, but live on your TV, wherever your TV is taking you. Samsung, LG, Fire TV, even Prime Video. You're watched everywhere between the hours of 10 and 1. Weekdays live.
Chromecast.
On talkSPORT, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, the lot. The list goes on. You can get us wherever you want to try to get us. A touch of boxing for you, because this took a few people by surprise, but now at least we know. Alexander Usyk, what did he do last time out? He demolished Daniel Dubois. He's pretty much taken care of everybody who has stood in front of him. So it begged the question, Alexander Usyk, does retirement beckon? Absolutely not. 2 more years of Alexander Usyk, 2 more years of him fighting, and no doubt carrying on where he left off. Earlier on this morning, I spoke to Igis Klimas, his manager, and I said to him, how do you feel about a couple more years of Alexander in the ring?
I am very pleased on his decision. He wants to stay busy, and he wants to, to keep boxing in this position. And that's his decision. He feels like he has a lot left in him. And as he said in the last fight, after the last fight, he said, this is just the beginning.
Did he ever consider retirement, Igis? Was that ever on the cards?
I never heard from him where I am tired, I don't have motivation, I don't want to do this no more. He was always for continuing in this sport.
Tyson Fury has asked to fight him again. Does Alexander want that? Do you want that?
I don't know. We have to see in a situation what is available, and You know, he already won against Fury 2 times. His fans wants it. That's the question would be, not to me. That question would be to fans. Can they sell a stadium? Well, we don't know. And Tyson Fury said he wants to fight. Does he really wants to fight? My guy is ready. He's training. You know, he said he's retired. Tyson, we never know. He goes in retirement. He comes back from retirement. He wants to fight again. Then the next day he doesn't want to fight. We really don't know. We're just going to be continuing what is for sure, what is for real.
I know what you think of your man and your fighter, Igis. Is there anybody out there who could beat Alexander Usyk?
It's boxing. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But as his stamina, as his IQ boxing, as his movement, as his thinking in the fight, I don't think nobody is there as now.
And that was that. With that, Igis Klimas boarded a flight to the US and off he went. Simon, what do you think? Usyk fights until he's 41. Did you see that coming?
Well, I thought he might have retired in the ring after beating Daniel Dubois because there was very little left for him to do. He'd beaten all the perceived best heavyweights in the division. There are arguments that he should be given opportunities in the same way that he talks about himself. He talks about, because first of all, he's an absolute class operator in every way, Usyk, from the way he carries himself to what he does in the ring. But he talks about the opportunity that he was afforded Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, given that fight 3 or 4 years ago, catapulted him. So I'm surprised that he doesn't facilitate opportunities for Joseph Parker and Ajit Kabiel, who are really up there with the opportunity to fight for the belts that he currently holds. I've also heard him say that he's had no intention of fighting Moses Atama, because he says that Moses Atama is not one for him, and then ultimately Moses Atama himself has said, I don't bash up grandpas. So he's used that language against him. There is nobody around at this moment in time that I think can beat Alexander Usyk. The interesting thing would be why, if you start putting Joshua and Fury into the mix to fight Usyk, it's inherently unfair to those guys that have been active fighting for their mandatory positions that get elbowed out of the way for Fury to get another go when he's been bashed up twice. Frank Warren can dispute that all he wants. He lost both of those fights, and Anthony Joshua the same. So the key for Alexander Usyk is, what does he want to fight for? Because the money in the room, with respect to his remarkable achievements, isn't Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and arguably, not arguably, factually the best heavyweight around, and best heavyweight of his generation. But the money goes to Fury and it goes to Joshua. They're going to get more. Still. So how do you get Usyk? If Usyk fights Parker, this ain't selling out a stadium. Not anywhere significant, quite frankly. It might in Ukraine if he fights over there, if he's able to fight in Ukraine, if that situation had been resolved. But the difficulty is Usyk is the best fighter, deserves all the money. But the backstory, as we know, goes with nostalgia. People are going to watch that old tosh between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank and wax lyrical about it when you've got a bona fide world star like Alexander Usyk that doesn't quite get the same financial opportunities that say Joshua and Fury would get, and he's vanquished them both.
So if he was to fight next, and he will fight next, and an announcement comes along, he will fight X. Who is the X? Who's the name that would make you think, yeah, I've got to be there. I'm going to go.
No, I am a huge admirer of Usyk. I've picked against him every single time, some of that with my heart and marginally with my head. As a boxing fan, I want to see the guys that have earned their right to get shots at world titles be given their opportunity. And that means, well, Joe Parker's got the little matter of Fabio Wardley to deal with on the weekend, which makes it incredibly admirable he's taking this fight, because it's a huge risk for Joe Parker. He's no reason to take the Fabio Wardley fight. He should be getting a world title shot. He's been, looked past because Usyk's injured and couldn't have the fight with Daniel Dubois because Daniel Dubois pulled out. So the other one is Kabiel, because I think those two are arguably the best heavyweights around right now.
Right.
That are both on good runs of form.
Right.
And it's a live one. But again, I still think it's unlikely in my mind's eye. I'm now a fully paid up member of the Alexander Usyk fan club, that I see anyone beating him.
You don't see Parker beating him?
No, I don't. I think
you don't see Wardley beating him?
Oh, no, with respect to Fabio.
Kabiel beating him?
I think Kabiel is the one that comes in my mind, but I still think there's a class difference between Alexander Usyk. The only thing that happens to Alexander Usyk is does he get old overnight? he doesn't live his life the way people do when they get old overnight.
No.
He lives his life like an absolute Spartan.
Yeah. You know what I love about Usyk? And when he joined us, we were on the second floor, weren't we? A different studio during the summer. And Dubois and Usyk came in that day. You get absolutely, how can I describe it? You get no BS with Usyk or any of his people, including Igor Klimas, who we just heard from. They tell it as it is. He says, I'm going to fight again. I don't know who. In fact, I'd be lying if I gave you a name.
Because they don't have to do anything else. Because when you've got, it's like when you see, you know, when you meet big stars, they tend to have the smallest riders. When you get the little jumped up influencers and, you know, celebrity reality stars that have got great big riders, I need this in my dressing room. The big superstars have got nothing to prove, nothing no need to give it the big I am. And so I think with people like Alexander Usyk, they are absolutely, look at them, just look at the body of work. It's there. It's unanswerable.
But I'm amazed that you don't think he'd sell at a stadium as a result of that. Because the best heavyweight of his generation.
Because people look for something else as well. They look for a backstory and they look for something more. And there's always, when you've got Tyson Fury in a room, like him or loathe him, and I happen to do both in equal measure. I admire him incredibly, and I dislike some of the things that come out of his mouth. And we can all put that down to his condition. I don't. I think that I put it down to a choice. He's pig ignorant at times. But as a fighter and as a spectacle and as a box office star, he's world class. Anthony Joshua, he operates in a different space. He gives people a different set of feelings because people think he was the poster boy for British boxing, carried it back into a certain space. And Anthony occupies a different level of precedence, but he's the golden boy. Alexander Usyk is the best of the lot, but maybe because he comes from a certain part of the world where, you know, people don't have that much interest besides what's going on in the Ukraine war. But ultimately, we look at that period of time when the Klitschko's dominated heavyweight boxing. It wasn't the most uplifting time. It wasn't the best time for boxing in terms of the quality of fights that we got to see.
Yeah.
But Usyk, of them all, as the sportsman, as the statesman, miles above all of them.
Yeah.
Miles above all of them.
I agree. Absolutely love the guy. And this is as good a time as any to tell you that the latest episode of Top Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver, Paul Smith and Fraser Clark is available now on the Top Boxing YouTube channel. How lucky are you? It's coming up to 12:15.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
Okay, let's pick out who has been the real deal this week with Selco Builders Warehouse. It is that time. And Simon, I'm going to put it to you. I'm going to throw a name in here. With the likes of Glasner, Iraola, Emery, Howe taking much of the credit in the recent middle order rise. Give it to me straight. How do you assess the body of work of one Marco Silva?
I think he's done an excellent job at Fulham.
Because you didn't always think that about him.
No, I didn't think he behaved very well when he decided to leave Watford. I felt that at the time, as you know, because we rehearsed this, that he behaved poorly. But I think everyone is able to make mistakes and people are able to opine on it. But if you carry that bias on with you, then it's a failing in me. I've watched him over the last 2 or 3 years at Fulham. I think the players that play for him like him, play for him well. I think the teams that he produces are difficult sides to play against, and they get better results than perhaps their capital expenditure or their pound for points sort of value often attributes. I think he's done a good job. And I think, Glasner gets a lot of success. He won the FA Cup. So he's going to get that, isn't he? Iraola has gone in there and produced a side that keeps on beating the top sides and looks so great. And their players are being sold to bloody Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Liverpool and God knows where.
Yeah.
And who's the other one that you listed in that list? Glasner?
Iraola, Emery, Howe.
Emery is a top manager and has managed and won things in other countries. With other football
Marco
clubs.
Silva in this group, in this similar group?
Yeah, to an extent. To an extent, yeah. I think he's a very, very solid, good Premier League manager. And that means that he could manage up. I think he's at a stage in his evolution as a manager where he's maturer in perhaps the way he handles things. I think he works well with players. I know a couple of the players that play for Fulham, and I know that they really enjoy playing for him and understand what there was required of them. So I think he's done a good job.
I mean, at Fulham, do you go under the radar slightly? It's that kind of place, isn't it?
It is, because it's an unassuming place, isn't it? I mean, obviously you don't go under the radar when you charge £3,000 for the tickets that they charge there, or you put a swimming pool on top of the stadium. But it's always been that sort of club. I mean, Fayad put it on the map, didn't he? Because he decided to take it out of Division 3 or whatever it was at the time, and catapult them up with Kevin Keegan and John Tigana and all those sort of people.
Yeah.
And then you had these wonderful players there like Zaha and other people that played there, Lewis Zaha that played there, and they got into the Premier League and sort of became a nice club.
Yeah.
They're a nice club, aren't they? Fulham are a nice football club. The fans are not. There's no real jeopardy behind their fans. They're just a nice club on the Thames.
Yeah, I mean, to our understanding, they're keen to tie Marco Silva down to a new contract.
So they should be.
Because his deal is set to expire at the end of the season. Very briefly, Shad Khan, the owner, we don't hear much from him. I spoke to him years ago when Fulham went up to the Premier League, but since then haven't heard much. He spoke very briefly at the weekend there about Silva being in his long-term plans.
He's been great. I mean, I really like him not only as a person, as a football manager, head coach. I think he's in our long-term plans.
I'm not surprised.
Neither am I.
And I like him too.
I sat next to him, had a long conversation with him a couple of years ago in Tottenham's boardroom when Tottenham played Nottingham Forest, and he's a very interesting character. Moving away from the Terry Thomas moustache and moving into the actual level of the man's capabilities in terms of what he's achieved and what he owns.
Yeah,
he's a remarkable businessman. He's a remarkable individual. And he's very considered, very flamboyant in the way that he dresses and the manner in which he speaks. I mean, he left a lot of it to his son, hasn't he?
Yeah.
His son has been doing a lot of the management of the football club. There's been various times when Fulham have gone up and down where they've made mistakes. They spent a lot of money about 4 or 5 years ago going up.
Yeah.
And they seem to have bought a lot of pups and they went down again, bang, straight back down again.
Yeah.
And they're a good club. He's a good owner. And Marco Silva is someone that you should definitely want to keep. The interesting thing would be who would take him, where the opportunities come. It's all well and good, people like me, forecasting the inability for Glasner to be kept at Palace. Glasner only leaves Palace if something really exciting comes up. But the fact that Glasner will be out of contract might facilitate something exciting coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Marco Silva, undoubtedly, our pick, or Simon's pick for this week's Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
Just before we hit the half 12 break, I'm determined to throw this to you, especially now we know that 3 men were arrested after Salford City's game against Oldham Athletic. That it was disrupted by pitch invaders carrying England flags in a protest against the co-owner Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Greater Manchester Police confirmed that 3 men had been arrested on suspicion of entering the field of play, which falls under the Football Offences Act. Now, we remember, of course, the same Gary Neville said earlier this month that Union flags were being used in a, quote, negative fashion, and criticised what he described as angry, middle-aged white men for creating division. The individual involved here entered the pitch holding England flags during Salford's 1-0 League 2 win over Oldham on Saturday. One attempted to plant a flag a la Souness all these years ago in the centre circle. So, has Gary Neville been proven right?
Well, I mean, I know one of the far right groups have claimed that this was their idea, and
Britain First.
Britain First. They may well be right. I mean, there's no evidence that these people are Britain First members. We'll have to have that confirmed for us. But it doesn't alter the central premise of what Gary Neville said. What Gary Neville said in the wake of a terror attack was that the anger in this country was coming from middle-aged white men, and they're inappropriate for them to have it. And the flag is being weaponised by racists. It's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I drive around the streets of this country, whether it's in Epsom or Wimbledon or parts of the country that are nice little leafy suburbs and Union Jack flags are flying everywhere, because people want to have some value in some of the challenges this country's got. And what Gary didn't do, Gary's point was, Gary, if you wanted to make it about Tommy Robinson or Farage, then why don't you name them? What you did was you inflated it to being everybody and dragged everybody into this conversation. And I'm still not happy with the fact that Gary Neville did that. I still fundamentally disagree. I listened to another show on our platform about 4 or 5 days later, ironically, with Max Rashton and his little mate, where they had some left-wing immigration activists come on, talk about the fact that there was no balance in the conversation between you and I, whilst having no balance in their conversation, i.e. no one disagreed with my principle. I think you did a little bit, and or you pushed back on it, certainly.
I did.
Yeah, you pushed back on it and questioned and said, why did I call Gary Neville a coward? On their show, then no one pushed back, yet they had the irony to suggest that no one was pushing back on our show. It was a very simple premise. People in this country want central values. They want to have a value set rather than being told left, right and centre, this country has got a colonial past, this country was responsible for slave trading, this country is institutionally racist, this country does this country does that. People are looking at it going, unlike America where you've got a written constitution, you know what your values are, this country doesn't have it. So a flag is something valuable. So when you've got some little champagne socialist like Neville coming out and suggesting that everybody that aligns with wanting to have the values of their country, and one of them is a representation of a flag, that they're all middle-aged, angry white men. First of all, not everybody in this country that stands behind a Union Jack is white.
No, I accept that.
Second of all, what an appalling time to have said it after, in the wake of an Islamist, terror attack. And the third thing is, why judge people without knowing what they are? And if you want to be specific about who's weaponising the flag, name them.
Yeah,
Don't name your workers on a building site, or tell everybody else that waves a flag, me including, that somehow you're sowing division and you're a racist.
Yeah, but hang on. If we name people, if we name a group, let's do it. I mean, the game, Salford City against Oldham, the British far-right political party, Britain First, claimed on social media it had planned the protest and posted a video of the incident.
There's always going to be
where some of the members of the crowd were wearing clothing with the words Gary Neville is a traitor before they went onto the pitch.
Because people feel
so does that not sum up what Gary was saying?
People feel very strongly
angry, middle-aged, white men.
They feel very angry at what Gary Neville was attempted to do, which is categorise people from a position of speaking on behalf of them without even understanding what their motivations are, what their concerns might be. If you've got an issue about the policies of this country, and when this person coming on the show saying, well, people, there's only 30,000 asylum seekers staying in hotels. That's a lie. It's 120,000 people. 90,000 of them are staying in HMOs. But the fact of the matter is that people have a right to say something without having... When you call somebody a racist when they make an observation you don't like, what you're doing is saying you don't have to contend with them because they're a racist. And that's what Neville was doing. And that's what people were really angry about. And there might be bad actors. There might be people that weaponise the flag, that do it for the wrong reasons. But the bulk of the country...
So he was right then?
No, but he didn't. He made.
There are people who do just that. Weaponise the flag.
Then why didn't you say that
to create division?
Why did you talk about your workers on your building site and a country full of angry white men? That's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it.
Yeah, but it happened at his game. It happened at Salford City's game.
But they would do.
Right in front of him.
But they would do because where does Neville reside? Where does he lurk about? He lurks about at his football club. So they're going to make their point with him. And to suggest that we know this factually, it might be right. The probability is it was sanctioned by or engineered by Britain's First and whatever they stand for.
Britain First.
Stand for, right?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that doesn't mean that what Gary Neville said was right. It doesn't mean that Gary Neville's observations were right. The people that lean towards Gary Neville's persuasion of thinking will think he was right. But the fact is, unless you understand why people do things, you don't have the right to just unilaterally call people racists or misogynists because you don't like what they have to say.
I agree with you. But it does show there was an element of truth in what Gary had said.
Why?
Because the far-right political party, Britain First, said that was us. Well, on social media, they said that was our moment. That was our planned protest.
And in this instance, you might be right. But
they even posted a video of the incident.
Well, I'm sure they would because they like.
What was the purpose of it?
They like the association. I don't know. I can't speak to the mind of the people that did it. Right. What I can say is the central theme is there's always bad actors. There's always bad form in every equation. The conflation of the argument that Gary Neville put forward was appallingly timed, ignorant and arrogant in its assertion, and it categorised the whole swathe of people in this country, a bit like Keir Starmer did last summer, in a way that's not just, not fair, not representative, and disavows them of the right to say, we don't like certain things in our country, we like to have central principles, people coming to this country, living in this country, should respect the values of this country, and we better start defining them soon, otherwise we won't have much of a country left.
Anyway, the three involved were arrested. And Salford won the League 2 game against Oldham by a single goal to 0. 12:30.
Sean Dyche has been confirmed as the new head coach at Nottingham Forest. It's a 2-year contract, but our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says the club statement makes it very clear the side's priorities have changed as a result of their season so far.
They talk about his teams being defined by defensive organisation, resilience, strength from set pieces, mentioned this statement. So in the space of 8 games, they've gone Forest from talking about winning silverware to basically trying to stay in the Premier League, and it's now become a bit of a relegation dogfight.
Dyche's first game in charge will be at home to Porto in the Europa League, live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Now, Nuno Espirito Santo admits he's got a serious problem getting West Ham fans back on side. Here's what they're telling talkSPORT this morning after last night's protests.
We have got 2 clowns in charge, and it's not a circus anymore. I won't go to the ground.
Too many people not playing for the badge, not proud to play for the club.
They've got some good youngsters, Pearson Fionn in the youth. They've got Mohamedou Kante. Give them a break. Give them a chance.
Meanwhile, talkSPORt's Stanley Murphy thinks this could be as bad as West Ham gets under Nuno after that painful 2-0 defeat to Brentford last night.
He's got to find a team quickly that he can settle on and trust in and get at least to a place where they're harder to play against and harder to beat. He's got a big job on his hands.
There's more on that at talksport.com.
It is indeed. It's just gone 12:30 this Tuesday lunchtime. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We like to think that we tackle as many different topics as we can on a daily basis on this show. And with that in mind, just a warning to some of those listening at this stage, you might find the next topic difficult to listen to, but it's something important we feel to highlight, especially with the death of Ricky Hatton striking a chord with thousands of people up and down the country right now. Ricky Hatton spoke openly about his struggles with mental health, and it's a reminder for everyone out there, particularly men, that help is out there if indeed you are struggling. So Simon, joining us now is Luke Ambler from the charity Andy's Man Club. Luke, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining the show. For anyone, Luke, who isn't aware of Andy's Man Club, what is it and what service do you provide?
Good afternoon, guys. Firstly, thanks for having us on here and highlighting this. So my name's Luke. I'm the co-founder of Andy's Man Club. It was founded tragically after the death of my brother-in-law, Andrew Roberts, back in April 2016. As a result of starting that, as a result of his death, we want to start a mission, a cause where guys just like us right now on this call, of all different backgrounds, whether it be rugby, football, a builder, right through to any industry, could just meet up and have a brew and a chat. And I'll be honest with you, I was a professional rugby player at the time. A lot of lads, said that won't work. It's not really what guys do. And the first night, 9 men turned up. Second week, 15 men turned up, and I've just got the stats through now that last night 6,444 men walked through the door. So, in a nutshell, what do? We deliver hope, because that's the biggest killer. People don't see that tomorrow they can get better than today. And how do you do that? Just throwing a conversation. So, very simple model at Andy's Man Club for anyone that's ever been. For any guys listening now that are maybe terrified of the idea, you walk through a door, you're offered a brew, you sit down, and you're surrounded by a load of guys just like you've either been through a storm, or currently in a storm, or maybe there's a storm brewing, and just sort of normalises that life is tough at times, but we can all get through it together.
I see. So Andy's Man Club then, as you described, Luke, takes the name from Andrew Roberts, your brother, who sadly took his own life aged 23, and I think that was in 2016. Look, for those listening this lunchtime, and it will be a hard listen, I mean, the impact on you and your family must have been enormous in a variety of different ways. Is there anything there that you could discuss with us at this stage live in Talk Sport?
Yeah, I've had a lot of different deaths in my life, different family members, friends, different causes, but I think suicide is a real big burden because it leaves a big question, why? It leaves a question, could we have done more? Could we have seen more? And in an honest case in Andy's, I think what made it quite devastating is there was no signs. There were a bubbling over of an argument with his ex, but other than that, it was pretty normal. And then for him to just go off and take his life, like the devastation when someone dies by suicide, in my opinion, is like nothing else. I often refer to having to tell my little son Alfie that his favourite person in the world had died. His Uncle Andy, and the screech in which he let out will live with me forever. And I think anyone who's listening who's lost someone to suicide will know that the other burden with suicide, the other stigma is to explain to other people that your friend, partner, or someone you know has died by suicide. It's often a very hard thing to talk about, and there's a two-edged sword. One is that it's really hard for those guys to talk about how we feel. The other one is it's hard for those people bereaved by suicide to talk about their loved ones in that way, and it can often be a very, very difficult burden to carry.
And just before about how people can get in touch, Luke, that point that you made earlier about those around your brother, if only you guys had known more, then you might have been able to help. And it's that lingering feeling, that lingering frustrating feeling that must, for want of a better word, haunt you so often and so long.
100%, and I think a lot of the work that we're trying to do, there's a lot of times where us guys, you'll know it yourself, dealing with sportsmen on a day-to-day basis, we're very good at wearing masks and pretending nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
So how can you spot someone that's struggling that is pretending everything's okay? So what we're actually trying to do is reach down to the man himself and say, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to reach out for help. It's, you've got to have the courage, and these are some big words I'm using: courage, vulnerability, strength. It takes real strength, ultimately, to admit you've got a problem. It takes real vulnerability. So what we're really trying to do is go back to that one man and say to him who's listening right now, if you're struggling, it might not be your wife that you want to talk to your problems about. You might not feel like you want to put that on them. But there is groups like Andy's Man Clubs. You can reach out to your doctor. There's so many resources now. Exhaust all avenues, because life is precious. Because it is, isn't it, right? We're talking about something really dark and eerie of suicide, but actually what we're actually trying to say to people is this can pass, and you've got a chance of a beautiful life. And that's what we want to try to give people hope, that, do you know what, you can live a beautiful life, you can have an happy life, you can have an healthy life, but it's just going to take some hard work along the way to get there. And you're going to admit you've got a problem, you have to take some accountability, and you have to go take some action to get some help, and there's lots of people who want to help you.
All of this, I hope, resonates with a lot of people out there this lunchtime, Simon, what Luke is saying.
Yeah, so it should. And Luke and people like Luke are very, very valuable because, we've listened on this show and spoken to Chris Kirkland. We've spoken to one of the players that played for me, Leon McKenzie, talking about the challenges that they've had. And we've seen the reaction. There is less stigma now. I mean, people talk about mental well-being, and sometimes it does get played out too often, too easily. But in the situations that we talk about, and there is an overprescription ideal in terms of doctors overprescribing, people that are having difficult challenges in their lives where a relationship breaks up, against the real backdrop of people really, really challenged. So I think it's wonderful what Luke does, and I think we are now in a society where men are less stigmatised to talk about things. There's a greater propensity to be able to discuss how you feel, and given by the fact that he just told you that they started with 9 people coming through the door and they've now got 6,500.
Yes,
it tells you that we're in a space where there is a catastrophe around men's well-being and men's health and challenges, because men do bear a lot of burdens about their responsibilities in society and the challenges that they have, and they're sometimes they're expected to operate in a certain way. Men aren't supposed to cry, men aren't supposed to talk about these things. That comes with a burden, but I think it's wonderful, and I think well done, Luke. Excellent work, mate.
Luke, many messages, Luke, coming in, as happens when we dwell on a topic. There are messages that come in, whatever the topic is, and in this particular instance, I'm getting a lot of messages. I'll select one, Luke. Andy's Man Club, there's no name in this, Luke. Andy's Man Club recently started near me. I haven't been yet, but I'm contemplating going because I am struggling with multiple issues. What should I expect when I go for the first time? What would you like to say to that, Luke?
Amazing. I think, ultimately, firstly, accepting there's a problem there and you want some help is number one.
We just lost his line as he was about to come away with some more information. If people want to get in touch and want help, we will be giving out more details about Andy's Man Club and what it's all about. Luke Ambler, of course, represents the charity Andy's Man Club. Luke, you just get... Yeah, we lost you very briefly there. Again, for that individual who asked what might he or she expect, what might he expect if he was to pop up to a meeting for the first time, go. What might he expect?
At first, he's going to be anxiety, he's going to be worried, but once he gets through that door, he's going to see a load of guys at that door, what we call sweepers. They're guys who are there just like you, but now are facilitators. But the facilitators are users of that group. They're going to welcome you in, you're going to sit in there, you don't have to talk. It might be that you just listen. And as a result of that, hopefully you'll get the courage to speak. And once you've spoke, hopefully that'll alleviate some of that aggravation that's going on in your mind, and hopefully give you a chance for a bit of a better tomorrow.
Look, I'll come in off the back of this, but do you want to tell people what they can do and should do who need your help?
Yeah, really simply, we're on all social media channels, Andy's Man Club UK, but if you go on the website, andysmanclub.co.uk, and you type in your postcode, it'll give you every group that's in your area, because there might be a guy listening now that lives in where I'm from, Halifax, for example, but wants to go to one a little bit further out of town. That might be what his first step is. There's also an online group, and you just turn up Monday at 7, excluding bank holidays. Or if you want a bit more information and feel a little bit uneasy, just email us, info@andysmanclub.co.uk. We've got an amazing team who have dealt with thousands of men now and know what sort of anxieties you're feeling about going and getting that help, and they'll help ease you through that door.
Look, I like the way you described it. For a brew and a chat, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is, even if it's just us talking now, I think it's not necessarily just about Andy's Man Club for us. It's about guys on a building site this afternoon sitting listening, going, do you know what? Let's get a brew and let's have a chat. And I'll tell you this really quick, a powerful story, one of the most powerful for me at Andy's Man Club. There were a lad who went to a group, proper tough lad, hard as nails, builder, on roads, and he says, old bloke said to him, he goes, what's all this Andy's Man Club about that you keep talking about? He said, mate, it's literally, we're just sitting and have a chat. He goes, well, let's have one now then. So this guy, hardest man I'd ever met, never spoke about stuff. They dropped the feet in hold that they just dug up at the side of the motorway, cars going past, they sat and had a brew, and they all opened up, and this older chap just said, you know what, I've been there, and I'm glad we've had this conversation. So why am I telling that? Not because we don't want our service to be the only thing. We're not saying we're the Holy Grail. We're actually just trying to say is that whether you sat on a radio show now, or you sat in the football changing rooms, or you sat out for a pub with your mates, have these conversations. If you're struggling with your missus, if you're struggling with some debt, finance, talk about it, because chances are the person you're talking about will get it. And if they don't get it, there might be someone else that does. So let's make these more normalised stuff so it doesn't become this big problem that then ends up in some explosions and people tragically no longer with us.
Absolutely. Luke Ambler from the charity Andy's Man Club, thank you very much indeed. Anyone feeling emotionally distressed or suicidal can call the Samaritans for help on the free helpline 116 123 or visit the website www.samaritans.org. It is Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. What a night. Arsenal in action against Atletico Madrid. Newcastle against Benfica live on talkSPORT. Villarreal against Manchester City live on talkSPORT 2. What a night of European action.
Champions League football is back.
Tonali at the edge of the area, drives it in. Newcastle take the lead.
A city that lives and breathes it. And he's spotted in. Pavlidis.
They're set up now for me to really kick on.
Cross to the back post. Vega's header. Vega clinical.
Flip over the top for Haaland, who's tried to get round the back with a little touch. Oh, what a finish. And what a goal.
He's just a born striker who loves scoring goals.
Trossard. Saka. Saka again. Through the goalkeeper and in. Is this Arsenal's time? Is this the season it all comes together?
Comes out to Griezmann, edge of the area. He scored.
They've saved their athletes for this game, knowing what's coming.
The pinnacle of European football, the Champions League, and it is the greatest prize in the club game.
Looking forward to it immensely. But Arsenal, when it comes down to Arsenal, is there something special brewing right now? Whether it's the Premier League, whether it's in the Champions League, maybe it's both. Does Arteta realise that they're favourites in the eyes of many for one or both at this stage?
The only thing that I embrace is when I see the team, the energy, the temperature, the commitment and the quality that they can deliver, that it gives me that conviction that we can go all the way. But that's it. That's just a feeling that the next day you have to prove it, the next training session you have to prove it, and nothing else, and we cannot be busy thinking about those topics.
Simon, what about Arsenal? Right now, would the Premier League trophy still represent the most significant prize for Arteta this season?
Well, they've never won the Champions League. So if he wins that, he eclipses everything that's been done previously. So you could make that argument. But I think the Premier League is what they're after. So I think the Premier League is the title that I think most people gain the most satisfaction from. I think most managers, despite needing to win the Champions League to get validation elsewhere in other people's minds, look at the league and go, that's the one. Brian Clough used to say it. Bob Paisley used to say it. Alex Ferguson used to say it. The bread and butter is winning the league. If you go over 38 games, or 42 as it once was, and you win a league, it's a very different feel than winning a competition where you've played 11, 13, 15 games in a cup competition. The question is whether Arsenal can do either or both. And given the squad that they've assembled, there's an argument to say they could do both. It's a tall order. It's a big ask. There are other teams in that competition that might have something to say about that, like PSG, who've turned now into arguably the best team in Europe. And so there's lots of challenges there. But Arsenal have assembled a squad of depth and quality that means that they can change games with their bench and they can go deep without having to worry about the challenges they've had previously. That they've now got players to come back that are missing, like Havertz and Gabriel Jesus and Madueke, that will come back into the side, that are absent right now, that will be part of a side. So they've really got themselves into a really good position.
Yeah.
Really good position.
I mean, not that there's any suggestion of skullduggery on Arsenal's part here, but Atletico Madrid have made a complaint to Arsenal after they experienced a hot water shortage at the Emirates after they trained before tonight's Champions League tie. They couldn't get a hot shower.
Oh dear.
Poor little souls. But I mean, hey, that's life, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought that Arsenal would turn the...
no, I shouldn't think so.
Turn the boiler off.
It'd be a good game tonight, but Arsenal are a very, very good side. I mean, and Arteta, the argument will be, it will come again, no doubt, but in individual games where Arteta has to twist or stick, and people will want him to twist and be brave and be bold. Eze's now on the side. Eze makes a big difference.
Yeah.
He adds something to me. Even when he's not on blob, he still looks like there's something different to him than they've got there previously. They've got some really good players there. They must win something this season.
I was going to say to you, do you want to stick your neck out now? Tuesday, 21st of October. Do they win the Premier League? Do they win the Champions League? Good God, I'll say it. Do they win both?
I don't know. I mean, the question is can they stand the test? I mean, it would be easy to pivot off my tip of Liverpool for the beginning of the season because I saw nothing to suggest that Liverpool wouldn't carry on. But now seeing something to suggest they might not.
Right.
But it's still very early. Arsenal have got to be in a position to win something. And I would be surprised if they don't win one of them, either the Champions League or the Premier League, given the condition of their squad, given what's happening with the opposition in the Premier League now, which is Liverpool, in my view. Anyone who finished above Liverpool won the league. That might not be the case now. It might be a few people finishing above Liverpool necessarily don't even win the league.
Yeah.
If Liverpool continue, but then Liverpool are very capable of pivoting again, getting themselves back into a groove, and off they go again. All I think is that if Arsenal were to win the Premier League, it's a nice change. I don't want the bloody Premier League being up in the north forever. And also, Arsenal haven't won it for a long time.
Are we looking at 3 English winners tonight? Arsenal, Atletico Madrid.
Yes.
Newcastle, Benfica.
Yeah.
Villarreal, Manchester City.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Villarreal, I mean, it's not an easy game, but I don't think Villarreal are any great shakes at this moment in time.
I hope so. And certainly, even if the water isn't hot at the Emirates, I hope Arsenal make it super hot for Atletico Madrid. And all
Simeone
with that. And Simeone, make it hot for him. Although when I met Simeone down at Brighton a few seasons ago in a pre-season friendly, he was delightful. But he'll be up to all sorts tonight. Simon, brilliant. Have a great afternoon. That goes for everybody out there. Thanks again, as always, for all the reaction from the last 3 hours. It has been seismic. It's 1 o'clock.